From Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, game number 3 of the National League Championship Series. It's the Philadelphia Phillies against the Cincinnati Reds. This ABC Sports Special is brought to you by Rolaids for acid indigestion. Rolaids spells relief. Consumes 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid. A late arriving crowd continues to fill in Riverfront Stadium, home of the world champion Cincinnati Reds, where over 2.5 million people filed in during the regular season to see if the Reds could repeat as world champions. The Reds now lead the Phillies 2-0 and can win the National League pennant today. For the Phillies to win the pennant, they would have to beat the Reds 3 in a row here in Cincinnati, where the Reds have played over 600 ball during the regular season. You know, there was a major story broken here last night in Cincinnati, repeated on our Monday Night Football telecast, concerning one of the most popular players ever to play in this city. Al Michaels has the story for us.
Well, Warner, the story came from Norm Clark, an AP writer here in Cincinnati, and the gist of it was that Rose was unhappy with preliminary contract talks for 1977, that he didn't want to be the third highest paid man on the Reds, third to Bench and Morgan, that he might want to be traded to the Phillies. We asked Pete about it.
Well, I'm the happiest guy in the world here in Cincinnati right now, and I don't know where the guy got the story, or I think he invented it himself. I remember the guy asked me our night after Game 2 if I was unhappy with my contract negotiation, and he heard I wanted to be traded to Philadelphia. Well, I haven't had no contract negotiations, and I know several weeks ago I was talking to someone. I said if I ever was traded from Cincinnati, that I'd like to be traded either the Dodgers, the Yankees, or the Phillies, because they're contenders, and I'd have to go to a contending-type ball club. So that's the extent of that statement, and he interpreted I wanted to be traded to the Phillies. But if they were 2-0 against the Reds, I want to be traded maybe, but not being 0-2. I want to be a Cincinnati Red. I'm from Cincinnati. I've had a great career here. I really enjoyed the fans. It's a tremendous ballpark, and I'm the happiest guy. I'm on cloud 9 right now, just being a Cincinnati Red, and I think the guy is just trying to make a mountain out of a mold and trying to get my teammates mad at me, because I have no idea what Bench makes for a salary, what Morgan makes for a salary. All I know is they both earn every penny that they make, and I can't negotiate my contract on what they make, and this is not the time of year to negotiate a contract. We're trying to win a pennant to get to the World Series, and that's upmost on our mind.
Pete Rose completely denying the story. Hi, I'm Warner Wolf. You know what? In a way, it's a shame if the Phillies lose today, because people will forget fast that they won 101 games during the regular season. All they will remember is they lost 3 in a row to the Reds. And if they at least win 1 game, maybe a consolation prize. Before the series, we asked many players, including Johnny Bench, what would be the determining factor.
I really feel defense would determine the outcome. I think if any team makes mistakes, the other team is going to capitalize on them. And an error here or a misplayed ball is really going to be the difference. Pitching, you can talk about it all you want, and we're going to hit their pitching, they're going to hit our pitching. When it gets right down to it, though, the team that plays really the good defense is really going to benefit, and I think that's going to turn things around.
All right, Johnny Bench. You know, so far, Bench has been a prophet because the Phillies have made mistakes in the field. Game number 1, 2 misplayed balls in right field by Ollie Brown off Griffey and Rose. Then you had the play by Schmidt when with 2 outs, instead of throwing a first, he tried to tag Concepcion, missed him, first and third, and the run came in. Then game number 2, you remember Bourbon had 2 strikes, swing and miss, strike 3. Ball got away from Boone on a wild pitch. Bourbon at first, later scored. Then the controversial play, Richie Allen, line shot off his glove. Perez, they gave him an error, although most people thought it should be a hit. Al Michaels will be back in a moment. We'll hear from one of the Phillies on what they have to say about the series.
Pete, how do you spell relief?
When I get acid indigestion, I spell relief R-O-L-A.
Whoa, I have gas.
I spelled the same for gas. R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids spells relief. In this test with Rolaids active ingredient, laboratory acid changes color to prove Rolaids consumes 47 times its weight in excess stomach acid.
Now, how do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For acid indigestion and gas, Rolaids spells relief.
A 1-year-old diehard, a 2-year-old diehard, a 3-year-old diehard, and a 4-year-old diehard. More than 3 hours later, they all started. even the 4-year-old diehard. The diehard, with extra power to start your car when most batteries won't. Sold only at Sears.
Well, bench turned out to be a profit. Johnny, a very accurate summation in an interview before the start of the series. What about the Phillies? We talked to Mike Schmidt.
Well, I think the whole thing in a nutshell, if you're asking me to talk about the first two games, my opinion on it is we didn't make things happen. Cincinnati Reds did make things happen. Why did that happen? I feel it's because they had discipline up at home plate. They weren't afraid to go to strike one, and as a result, a lot of times ball one was thrown to them, and then ball two, and then ball three, and 3-1, and the next pitch would be a strike. And they went into the sixth inning with Lomborg the other day, and he's throwing a no-hitter, and they still were patient enough to wait for him to tire out. And they got a couple walks in that inning, then a throw to a wrong base, and a ground ball single by Rose, and the game turns around. All of a sudden, the momentum is back on their side. And even the night before, patience that the Cincinnati Reds have had at home plate over the first two games versus our going up and being first ball hitting hitters, and not having those balls consistently go into gaps and in play somewhere to help us have just hurt us. You know, we've had very quick innings most of the time, and the Reds spend most of the time in the dugout hitting. And that's why you see Pete Rose diving into bases, Joe Morgan stealing bases, Griffey stealing bases, Perez coming up all the time with men on base. And that's been the difference in the two games. I think their discipline at the plate and our lack of it.
Well, the Phillies certainly haven't been doing the things in the two games they did during the regular season when they won 101 games, and Schmidt elaborates on that point.
Good example. I preached the whole game to the guys in the dugout that, you know, we talk over everything that happens, and I said, I think we're hitting the first pitch too many times. Tim McCarver pinch hit the first pitch. Larry Boa 2 times in a row hit the first pitch. And I'll be darned if I didn't walk up my third time up here, stay in line out in the gap and left center on the first pitch off the Bourbon. And the final out of the ball game was made by me swinging at the first pitch, a sinker up and in with the ball. And Bourbon got me out twice yesterday and hadn't thrown me a strike yet.
And we'll be back. PA announcer Paul Summercamp will be introducing the Philadelphia Phillies starting lineup when we return to Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati right after this message.
If you take pictures and you like color, get ready. Your instant is here from Kodak. Introducing Kodak Instant Cameras and Film. In minutes, they give you clean, dry, instant pictures with color by Kodak.
Can you feel our brand new
Kodak Instant Cameras and Film at your photo dealers now.
Take a look at who takes Geritol.
I'm Carolyn Rose. This is my husband, Pete.
Pete Rose, the baseball player.
When your husband's an athlete, you think a lot about good health, and that includes your own. So I try to get enough exercise and rest.
And you take Geritol every day.
Geritol, to be sure you get enough iron and some very important vitamins. Geritol.
Geritol every day.
And now you can get special savings on Geritol at stores where you shop. Try Geritol soon and save.
Roger Bacon High School Band from Cincinnati entertaining a capacity crowd. All seats have been sold today. And if there's a fourth game, that would take place here tomorrow night. Fifth game would take place on Thursday afternoon. All the seats have been sold for those two games. And a look into the Philadelphia bullpen, where left-hander Jim Kaat is loosening up for the Phillies. Had a fine first half, tailed a bit in the second half. Talking with somebody seated back of the bullpen, and Gary Nolan. For the Reds today, Gary will try to wrap things up as the Reds try to take it in straight sets. They won 6-3 on Saturday, 6-2 on Sunday. Flew in here after the game on Sunday night. Phillies came in on a charter yesterday. Both clubs worked out at Riverfront Stadium, and it's Kaat against Nolan today. If we have a fourth game tomorrow night, it would figure to be Gullett for the Reds against Carlton in a rematch of Game 1. A fifth game would probably be Lonborg against Zachary. Just about ready now for the introduction of the Philadelphia Philly starting lineup. And the PA announcer is Paul Summercamp.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Here are the starting lineups for today's game. for the Eastern Division champion, Philadelphia Phillies. First, the manager of the Phillies, Danny Ozark. Now today's starting lineup. The second baseman, Dave Cash. The center fielder, Gary Maddox. The third baseman, Mike Schmidt. The right fielder, Greg Lozinski. The first baseman, Dick Allen. The left fielder, Jay Johnstone. The catcher, Bob Boone. The shortstop, Larry Boa. And the pitcher, warming up in the bullpen, Jim Kaat. And now the rest of the Phillies. Ollie Brown. Steve Carlton.
And you've met the Philadelphia Phillies starting lineup. And back to meet the lineup for the Cincinnati Reds right after this message.
Terry Hartman.
You like me, crazy about cars, really love that machine of yours? Then right about now, you should be putting in Prestone too. Antifreeze isn't permanent. It wears out. So every fall, my baby here gets a fresh fill of Prestone Antifreeze. It fights freeze-ups and helps protect your cooling system against corrosion.
Prestone 2, you know it protects.
This is my Packard, and I know Prestone protects.
It's the human side of anything that matters most. Isn't that right? Like when a family gets together for a meal, and the kids are enjoying it so much, it almost makes you laugh just to watch them. People used to drive for miles to enjoy my Kentucky Fried Chicken dinners. They were the kind of meals that you were proud to put on your table. And you know what? They still are.
Real goodness from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Bobby Wine.
Jewel of a day in Cincinnati. Temperature up near the 70 mark. Not a cloud in the sky. Great weather. Phillies being introduced to the capacity crowd at Riverfront Stadium and ready now for the introduction of the Cincinnati Reds.
And now for the Western Division champion, Cincinnati Reds. First, the manager of the Reds, Sparky Anderson. And now, the Reds starting lineup. The third baseman, Pete Rose. The right fielder, Ken Griffey. The second baseman, Joe Morgan. The first baseman, Tony Perez. The left fielder, George Foster. The catcher, Johnny Bench. The shortstop, Dave Concepcion. The center fielder, Cesar Geronimo. And the pitcher, Gary Nolan, warming up in the bullpen. And now for the rest of the Reds.
Gary Nolan warming up in the bullpen. And this is Al Michaels for Tom Seaver. Warner Wolf will be back at Riverfront Stadium. Game 3 of the National League Championship Series coming up.
Premier Elite Force hunts Most Wanted following Starsky and Hutch Saturday.
Troy Savings Bank suggests that the right bank is one where, financially speaking, you can get all your ducks in a row. Such as savings accounts, free checking accounts with overdraft loan privileges available, plus other financial services such as home improvement loans and special savings clubs. In short, the whole shooting match. Troy Savings Bank, where it pays to save.
At Newcomb Cadillac and Pontiac, they are proud of providing America's standard of excellence in automobiles. Only the finest automobiles on the road are sold at Newcomb. Timeless grace and quality are in every beautiful Cadillac driven out of Newcomb. Pontiacs with designs for every member of the family are at Newcomb Cadillac and Pontiac, too. Sales and service 6 days a week, 5 nights till 9. at Newcomb, Cadillac, and Pontiac, Route 9W South, Catskill, New York.
Hi, I'm Fred from Ace. Someday, you'll need a muffler. And if there's one thing I can do for you, I'd like to teach you how to buy a muffler. There are three things: quality, guarantee, and price. At Ace, we install the highest quality mufflers on the market today with a car life guarantee. We place at any Ace center if failure occurs at no charge to you. Here's what you do. Call all my competitors. Get their prices. Then call me. That way, you'll know how much money I'm saving you.
Live with the live news at 6:30 and 11.
Today, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Cincinnati Reds. Philadelphia's Jim Kaat, 12-14 on the year against Cincinnati's Gary Nolan, 15-9 during the regular season. Today, the National League Championship Series.
Up to 2,500 more times with Ditronic watch batteries by Rayovac. Up to 2,500 more times with Ditronic by Rayovac. Up to 2,500 more times than ordinary watch batteries. Ditronic, only from Rayovac.
Announcing General Motors full-size cars for 1977, designed and engineered for a changing world. When GM began designing its new full-size cars, it had a goal: to use the world's foremost automotive technology and build from the ground up a line of totally new automobiles that would help conserve our natural resources. These cars were refined by computer to help make them strong and secure, yet without using excess steel. To help make them last, they received extensive new corrosion-resisting treatments. And to help reduce drag, they were tested and tuned in the wind tunnel. Yet, with all this concern for conservation, GM still retained the comfort and feeling of spaciousness people look for in full-size cars. The new full-size Chevrolets, Pontiacs, Oldsmobiles, Buicks, and Cadillacs. Designed and engineered for a changing world.
From Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, it's the Philadelphia Phillies against the Cincinnati Reds, just one victory away from the National League pennant. Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is brought to you by Chevrolet and Chevrolet dealers who invite you to see and drive Chevrolet's totally new 6-passenger car, the new Chevrolet. By Texaco, makers of Haviland Super Premium, a motor oil designed to help keep down the cost of car maintenance. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. When you've got the time, we've got the beer. Beautiful day, and we're back at Riverfront Stadium, where today it is do or die. It's as simple as that for the Philadelphia Phillies, for the Cincinnati Reds. They've got a little bit of breathing room, and working with us again today is Tom Seaver, the 3-time Cy Young Award winner for the New York Mets. Jim Kaat is on the mound. I thought Bob Gibson worked fast. He's a turtle next to Kaat.
That's a true story. Jim Kaat, obviously the fastest worker in the big leagues, came over from the Chicago White Sox in the trade this year, developed a new motion that Johnny Sain gave him. Superbly conditioned athlete, and what he does with this new windup, actually no windup, this delivery, this very quick delivery to home plate, upsets the hitters a little bit, Al.
He works very fast out of a windup position, also out of the stretch. What about the Reds? Can he neutralize their base runners today, do you feel?
He gets rid of the ball so quickly to home plate. He is going to take some of the speed away from the Joe Morgans and Griffeys and the guys that get on base. Fantastically quick delivery to home plate.
For the Reds today, it will be right-hander Gary Nolan. Twice in a row now, he has led the staff in innings pitched. That's an amazing story in itself, Tom, because 2 years ago, everybody thought he was finished.
Well, that was the case. Certainly, last Sunday we had the case of the comeback with Jim Lomberg. Today, we've got Gary Nolan. Now, 2 years of 73, 74, he barely pitched, just 16 innings. He went out and had an operation from Dr. Jobe in Los Angeles. They took some scar tissue and a bone spur from out behind his right shoulder. Last year, he was 15-9. This year, he's 15-9. Really a miracle that he can come back and pitch as effectively as he has after a major operation on his right shoulder, his pitching shoulder.
Reds and Phillies, Game 3 at Riverfront. Of course, more baseball coming up tonight on ABC. To tell you about that, Warner Wolf.
All right, Al, tonight, Game 3, the American League Championship Series, 8 o'clock here on ABC. Andy Hassler, who has held the Yankees to only one earned run in 17 2/3 innings against New York this year, against Doc Ellis. And, of course, tonight is the key game of that series, because the loser of tonight's Yankee-Kansas City game must then come back and win 2 in a row, while the winner of tonight's Kansas City-New York game can merely split and win the pennant. All right, Al, take us along this first inning and see if we're going to go 2-1 or if we will pack our bags and leave today.
Gary Nolan on the mound for Cincinnati. Nolan was 15-9 during the regular season, led the Red staff in victories, earned run average 3.46. He was 1-1 against Philadelphia. So here we go, game number 3 with Dave Cash to lead things off with the Phillies, and the first pitch is up and in, ball 1. Cash will be followed by Gary Maddox and Mike Schmidt. Reds winning game 1 on Saturday, 6-3, back of Don Gullett, then 6-2 with Pat Zachary getting the win. Pedro Borbon the save on Sunday. Hit in the air to center field. Cesar Geronimo has an easy play. 1 down. Dave Cash is gone, and up comes Gary Maddox. Maddox had a great year, hit .330. Philly lineup, Cash, Maddox, and Schmidt. Luzinski in the cleanup spot. Allen, Johnstone, Boone, Boa, and Jim Kaat. Gary Maddox has 2 hits in the championship series. They're his figures on the regular season. And Nolan starts him with an off-speed pitch, fouled back. 0-1. Very tough time of day for the hitters at about 3:25 local time in Cincinnati. As you can see, the hitters standing in the shade. Gary Nolan in the sun and the backdrop in the sun.
Those shadows play a big part in the battle between the pitcher and the hitter, Al. They'll be all right once we get the sun a little bit farther behind us and the shadows, if they go all the way across the pitcher's mound, it'll be a little bit easier for the hitters. But now it's going to be a little bit tough with that shadow running directly right between the two of them.
It is tough with a hitter. It is also very tough with a left fielder. That is the sun field here this time of year. Nolan ahead 0-2, and the next pitch to Maddox is wasted outside. 1-2 the count. There is George Foster in left field. Foster looking right into the sun. George playing just about straight away. The 1-2 pitch to Maddox is outside. 2-2. Plate umpire today is Dick Costello. Ed Bargo working at first. Doug Harvey at second. Terry Tata at third. Ed Sudol is on the left field line. Jerry Dale on the line at right. Hit by the mound, but Concepcion covers a lot of ground. 2 down. Maddox chopping one toward the middle. Concepcion always seems to get a great break on the ball. Went to the right field side of second. Here at Cincinnati, it's a symmetrical ballpark. 330 into the corner and left. 375 to the alley and left center. And 404 to straightaway center. With 375 the dimensions to right, center, and 330 down the line. Fence here is 12 feet high all the way around. Pretty good hitter's park. Not quite as good, though, as Philadelphia. The batter, Mike Schmidt. 1-0 the count.
The AstroTurf, Al, here is really much more honest than it was in Philadelphia. It's not as slick. It's not quite as fast. It's a little bit softer. you get a little bit truer hop, if you will, off of this AstroTurf as opposed to that real fast stuff over in the Phillies stadium. Now, that ball that Maddox hit up the middle the other day in Philadelphia, that might have gone through for a base hit. Here, it bounces a little bit higher and gives Concepcion a little bit more time to get to it.
2 out, bases empty. First inning, no score. 2-0 the count on Mike Schmidt. In there. Mike in the series 1 for 8. He could have had a couple of hits on Saturday, hit a couple of balls very hard, but they stayed in.
I think Mike is doing exactly what he said in our pregame show. He's going to go up there and wait. He's not going to be quite as anxious.
Hit down to Concepcion on a hop, stays with it, and gets it. So the Phillies are disposed of in order in the first inning. And at the end of the half inning in Riverfront Stadium, it's Philadelphia nothing and Cincinnati coming up.
This is a day like no other day. Today you can go where no one has gone and be what no one has been.
Monte Carlo by Chevrolet. A car like no other car. A car as unique and original as you are.
This is a day like no other day. This is a day like no other.
Well, Firestone Tire, to me, is like my little dog. They're faithful.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
They'll all tell you the same thing I'm telling you, that they're good, dependable tires, and they're good service, and that is the most important thing. I'll not experiment anymore. Firestone is going to be in my family for as long as I got a family.
Firestone.
The battery graveyard. 119,000 batteries end up here every day. Here's the one that started a revolution in car batteries, the JCPenney battery. It has more starting power than any other battery you can buy. You never add water, and it's fully warranted for as long as you own your car. If it fails, return it. We'll replace it free. Only at JCPenney auto centers or catalog desks. It's the last battery your car will ever need.
Look at the Reds lineup. Rose at third, Griffey in right, Morgan at second, Perez at first, Foster in left, Bench hitting sixth, Johnny catching with Cesar Geronimo in center, Concepcion at short, and Gary Nolan pitching. Jim Kaat working on Pete Rose, and the first pitch is in for a strike. Rose is 5 for 10 in the 2 games. 1-1 the count. Two and one. The way Nolan works and the way Kaat works and the paucity of walks that each has yielded, we could be out of here in an hour. Rose hits it down to Cash, and Dave gets him. So Pete is gone, and Griffey coming up.
Well, we had a good shot there, Jim Kaat style, throwing to home plate. Kaat pitched 227 innings this year, Al. Walked only 32 batters. On the other hand, Gary Nolan pitched 239 innings, walked only 27 batters. Both of them throw the ball over the plate. And their key is to get ahead of the hitters, not pitch from behind.
Ken Griffey gets settled and takes a strike. Griffey has 2 hits in the 2 games. Ken finished second to Bill Madlock this year in the batting race at 336. Kaat fields this one and gets him. Jim, among other things, a very fine fielding pitcher. That goes without saying. He was a consistent Golden Glove Award winner in the American League over the years. Won 14 in succession.
He has a tremendous balance on the mound, Al. He's a very well-conditioned athlete. He spends a lot of time fielding ground balls. He does a lot of things that take throwing. He says, I'm a pitcher. I throw the ball. I feel the ball. Those are the 2 things that he does the most.
Joe Morgan at the plate. 2 down, bases empty, up and in.
It's not a bad hitter either. 15 career home runs, 100 RBIs.
Morgan chopping it foul at the plate. And the count on Joe, 1-1. Joe likes to get in that elbow flap. That's why he doesn't like to face Jim Kaat. Slapped that elbow a couple of times. He has dispensed with that here. Up high, ball 2, 2-1.
He hasn't got time for it. You can see by that Kaat's delivery, there's just no time. He just gets the ball, he gets the signal, and he's ready to throw, and it's a very quick delivery.
Morgan pops it up. Dave Cash with the glasses down and makes the catch to retire the side. So each side out in order in the first inning, and at the end of one complete, it's Philadelphia nothing, Cincinnati nothing.
United Airlines makes me feel like the boss. They know I'm a busy woman. So now they've given me more carry-on space than any other airline, which I prefer to think of as carry-off space. I grab my case, an hat from above, completely unsquashed. I get my clothes, free of wrinkles, from the closet. I whisk my suitcase from United's brand new luggage racks, and the boss is on her way. By the friendly skies of United.
Where you are the boss.
That's me in one of my on-the-road pictures. I'll try anything to get good mileage. Today, I still do everything I can to get good mileage by getting regular engine tune-ups and seeing my independent Texaco retailer for fine quality Texaco products, like air filters, points, and spark plugs. I've tried other ways of getting good mileage, but one of the best ways is to see your independent Texaco retailer. At Texaco, we're working to keep your trust.
Friday nights. It's Donnie and Marie in a blazing hour of music and fun with their special guests, Sonny and Cher, Edgar Bergen, Carter Sweathog, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Loretta Swit, Paul Lynde, Spike Jones Jr., and Billy Barty. Hot stuff. The Donnie and Marie Show.
Friday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain on ABC.
Let's find out about Gary Nolan from the man back of the plate.
Gary's more of a control pitcher. We'll use the fastball. He's got a deceptive fastball. He's got a little ride on it at the end when he's strong. Good changeup and an overhand curveball. And he's had some shoulder problems, but they seem to alleviate themselves with a couple of cortisone shots. And Gary's going to be working the corners mostly. We'll go with the fastball and some slow curves and changeups against the left-handed hitters. If he has his control, he's going to have to rely on it all day. If he makes a mistake, then the big boys can hurt him.
Johnny Bench on Gary Nolan. Greg Luzinski, the batter, takes a strike. No score, second inning, game 3 of the National League Championship Series. The Reds trying to wrap it up. Celebrate tonight. The Phillies trying to stay alive. Good curve, 0-2.
Big curveball. That's a beautiful pitch. That's one of Gary's most effective pitches when he keeps the ball down. I talked earlier about his just 27 walks. That's an average of 1.02 per 9 innings for Gary. Kaat's average 1.26. These guys throw the ball over the plate. Very few base-on balls.
It used to be a lot of hitters would say when you play in the twilight or late afternoon as we are today, it's really tough to face a guy like Nolan Ryan. But I'm hearing more and more hitters now saying it's much tougher to face somebody like Gary Nolan or Andy Messersmith, somebody who has a good change and changes speeds a lot.
I think the basic thing is that it's very difficult to judge the speed coming through those shadows. Ball coming out of the light into the shadows. Very difficult.
They get the appeal for strike 3. Ed Vargo said he came around at first base. So Luzinski on a half swing strikes out. The first base umpire, Ed Vargo, calling it on the appeal. And it'll bring up Dick Allen. Take a look at it again. Judge for yourself.
I talked to Gary before the game, and he said he's had a very live fastball, and you saw it right there. The last couple of games he pitched in the regular season, his fastball was really his most effective pitch. If he has that effective fastball, he won't throw that changeup quite as much. And he told me today he was going to try and establish his fastball as early as he possibly could.
Dick Allen, the batter, 0-1 the count. Allen has 2 hits in 6 trips in the 2 games. Fly ball to center field. Cesar Geronimo coming in. 2 down, and that's 5 in a row set down by Gary Nolan. So 2 away in the second inning, and it'll bring up Jay Johnstone. Johnstone, most of the season, platooned in right field with Ollie Brown. Brown played in Game 1 with the left-hander Gullett working for the Reds. Johnstone in Game 2 had 3 hits. He came up with a pinch hit single in Game number 1, so Jay is 4 for 5 in the series.
It's in the cool 800, Al. That's not too bad.
Hit .318 during the regular season. In there, 0-1 the count. 2 down, bases empty. We're in the second inning at Cincinnati. No score. Bunted toward third. Good bunt. Rose will let it roll, and it stays fair. And so Jay Johnstone aboard with a bunt single. First hit of the game.
How about Jay Johnstone now 5 for 6 in the 3 games?
He can hit. He gives a lot of credit to a fellow by the name of Ben Lefevre, who is the father of former Dodger Jimmy Lefevre, the infielder now playing in Japan. Johnstone, some nondescript years in the American League, and then all of a sudden emerging last year, hit 300, and this year up again over the mark. Bob Boone is the batter. And the Philly catcher takes low and away, ball 1. Boone 2 for 4 in the playoffs. Hit .271 during the regular season. Johnstone at first base, held on by Perez. No score in the second inning. Nolan backing off and then throwing. Johnstone this season stole 5 bases in 10 attempts. Boone, it's a fly ball to left field and deep. Foster is back on the track and makes the catch up against the wall. Fine play by Foster, looking right up into the sun. Went back against the fence and makes the catch. So Boone is robbed, and the Phillies are out in the second. A hit and a man left after an inning and a half. 0-0.
Xerox has a copier that can make regular size 8.5 by 11-inch copies. It can also make medium size 11 by 14-inch copies. It's portable, has a document feeder. But the best part of all is that it makes giant size 14 by 18-inch copies. The Xerox 3100 large document copier.
My dentures got so dingy and yellow I hardly ever smiled. People stopped calling me Smiley and started calling me Curly. Then I started brushing with Denture Cream. Denture Cream's anti-yellowing formula gets rid of dingy yellow film. And Denture Cream helps keep the yellow from coming back because it polishes better. Better than ever. Yellow dentures took away my smile. Denture Cream's anti-yellowing formula gave me back my smile.
Dinner's ready, Smiley.
Hey, Pete Rose! What's a man really want from an aftershave?
Not fancy perfume.
Or fancy bottles.
Not fancy prices.
No!
A man wants to smell like a man.
There's something about Aqua Velva.
He wants to be cool and refreshed.
There's something about Aqua Velva. A man wants to feel like a man.
Feel like a man.
'Cause there's something about an Aqua Velva man.
2 keys on this catch by Foster. Number 1, he knows where the wall is. Number 2 is the timing right there. George Foster to end the inning.
And a look from a different angle. Foster right at the 375 sign. What a play. Robbing Boone. Here we go. Bottom of the second inning as Tony Perez takes outside. Ball 1. Foster going just about to the same spot where Joe Rudy made a fabulous catch in the 1972 World Series to rob Dennis Minke. Very key play. 2-0 on Perez. Foul back in the count 2-1.
This left field is a problem here at Riverfront Stadium. You see Greg Luzinski in left field.
That's drilled to center. Maddox comes on, gambles and loses. But it drops near him, and he's able to get it back in. Maddox, very fortunate, he was able to quell the momentum and keep it from getting behind him.
There it is, lines. If it goes by Maddox, Perez has got at least a double, maybe a triple, depending on how fast Luzinski can back him up.
Luzinski was doing a good job. He was hustling back over, trying to back up Gary in center field.
For Tony Perez, his first hit in the playoffs, and up comes George Foster. Foster 1 for 9. Foster, 1 hit in the 2 games, a home run on Saturday night to put Cincinnati ahead 2-1. George led the majors in runs batted in this season. Foster likes to step out a lot, so he and Kaat will play cat and mouse all day. Popped up, Dave Cash goes into the shade and makes the catch.
Al, did you say cat and mouse or cotton mouse?
Foster likes to try to break your rhythm. You've seen that happen many
He
times.
certainly does. There's no question now. You're trying to get hitters to get uncomfortable in the mound. He's ready to go. He's got his sign already. He's ready to pitch the ball. Now, the umpire has got to give the hitter time to get in and get comfortable in that box. And if we get the shot of Kaat delivering the ball, you'll see how fast he is going to home plate.
Johnny Bench hits one. Fielded by Boa on a hop. To Cash one. And to Allen for two. A double play. So Perez leads off with a single. But the Reds are gone quickly thereafter in the second. One hit, nobody left. End of two. Philadelphia nothing. Cincinnati nothing.
You fly a lot closer to the crops and to the clouds. But when those last acres are dusted, you know it's Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find.
It's time to relax.
America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
Miller stands clear, beer after beer. If you've got the time, we've got the beer, Miller beer.
Oh, boy. Most of these CB brands I never heard of. Where do I start? CB by RCA. Now, that's a dependable name. Well, that makes it easy. I'll get the one from the communications experts. CB by RCA.
Now you're talking RCA.
Thank you. Thank you.
Color. Get ready for color. Your instant is here from Kodak.
Can you feel a brand new day?
Introducing Kodak Instant cameras and film for pictures that develop in minutes to a beautiful textured satin lux finish. The first instant pictures with color by Kodak. Kodak Instant cameras and film at your photo dealers now.
On to the third inning. Al Michaels with Warner Wolf and Tom Seaver at Riverfront Stadium. Tonight, of course, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ABC from Yankee Stadium in New York. Game number 3, American League Championship Series. The Yankees and the Kansas City Royals, all even at a game apiece. If a fourth game is necessary in this series, we'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And the probables, Don Gullett and Steve Carlton. Third inning, 0-0. Larry Boa to start things for Philadelphia. Hits it to the right side. Morgan fields, and Nolan gets over in time. Gary got a late start, but was able to make it back in time. As Perez had committed himself, the first baseman came off the line, couldn't make the play. And Morgan had to wait for Nolan to get there. Fine play.
That's one of the basic plays a pitcher has got to do is get off that mound and cover first base, especially with a quick runner like Larry Boa. It looks like maybe Gary got stepped on slightly. I'm not sure if Larry hit him on the first base bag or not. There's one of the better hitting pitchers in baseball, Jim Kaat, and really a fine all-around athlete.
Jim Kaat standing in with one out. Base is empty. Outfield chases him toward left. And Nolan misses low, ball one.
I think an interesting thing about Kaat is that before this year he hadn't batted in 2 years because of the designated hitter rule in the American League, yet he came back with 14 hits, 8 runs batted in, and a home run this year.
I'll give you a quiz here, Warner. Whose bat do you think he's swinging up there?
How about Richie Allen?
Richie Allen's. 40 ounces he's got up there at the plate. He says he struck out against Nolan 5 times this year. He says he's going to take a big piece of lumber up there and try and whack on it.
Kaat pops this one up. Joe Morgan coming in front of second. And 2 down.
There was Jim Kaat. Look at that, hustling all the way around. You saw him go right behind Joe Morgan after he made the catch. He is a hustling ball player. Pop up in the infield, the starting pitcher hustling. He might lose that ball in the sun. He'll still end up on second base.
Marvelously conditioned athlete, 37 years old, going on 23. Dave Cash is the batter, flying out in the first inning. Fast-paced game. We played about 20 minutes. Third inning, 2 out. Base is empty. 0-1 on Cash.
Let me just interject one thing. On the pregame show, we had Mike Schmidt. He said we've got to discipline ourselves, stop swinging at the first pitch. The Phillies have batted around. Not one Philly swung at the first pitch.
The strike one pitch is on the outside corner for a strike. That's a good idea, I think, against a guy like Zachary. I'm not so sure it's such a good idea against Gary Nolan, though, with his great control.
That'll make Gary Nolan much more effective because he's going to throw strikes. He's going to get ahead of you. I think that's a good philosophy to say, okay, let's be patient. Let's, not go up and swing at that first pitch. Against a guy like this, he's going to be around the strike zone. This is a guy that maybe you should go up and start whacking at that first pitch.
Oh! Just got a piece of it. Bench can't handle it, and the count is 0-2. This game telecast under television rights granted by Major League Baseball solely for the entertainment of the viewing audience, and any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the explicit written consent of the Major League Baseball is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as charging commission for its showing, is similarly prohibited. Could have read that when Kaat was pitching, we'd have been out of the inning. Hit to right center field, and that'll be in for a base hit. Ken Griffey over to the alley to cut the ball off and gets it back in. So the Phillies have their second hit. Johnstone bunted for a base hit in the second inning, and now Cash a two-out single to right center here in the third, and it'll bring up Gary Maddox. Gary Nolan, when he first came up, 18 years old, pitched in Crosley Field, struck out Willie Mays 4 times in a game. Came into national prominence that night. He could throw as hard as anybody. Then a series of ailments, and right now, a totally different pitcher.
We had a rookie year together. Jim, he came up in '67, so did I. That was 14-8. I was 16-13.
Bunted, but Banks will handle it. And Maddox tries to bunt his way on, but Banks is able to gun him down. For the Phillies in the top of the third, no runs, 1 hit. And a man left on at the end of 2.5. Reds nothing, Phillies nothing.
You're the one. Don't need that morning tussle. You're the one. Need a break before you hustle.
Stop in at McDonald's for breakfast before you start in at work. We'll serve you fast so you can eat nice and slow. Try our scrambled fresh eggs and sausage or our delicious Egg McMuffin. Great ways to start your day.
At McDonald's,
we do it all for you.
This is a part of the phone company hardly anyone ever sees. The Bell Systems recycling plant in New York. Every day, more than 2 million pounds of old telephone equipment comes here from Bell companies all around the country. First, we break it down. Then we pull out the usable metals.
Like the copper in this old cable. Reprocessing by Western Electric is cheaper and takes less energy than mining new copper. We reclaim about 1/2 of the Bell Systems needs, 200,000 tons a year.
Recycling saves natural resources and keeps our costs down. And that helps keep your phone bill down. One more thing. We didn't open this plant just a few years ago when recycling became popular. We opened it 44 years ago.
The Bell System. People using technology to hold down costs and improve service. Keeping your phone system the best in the world.
Warner Wolf asked Bob Boone, the Philly catcher, for his assessment of Jim Kaat.
That's true. When I saw him pitch on TV in the All-Star game, that was really the only time I'd seen Jim pitch. He's quite a unique style, as you'll see this evening, and is a tremendous competitor, and really quite a thrill to catch. He really is different. The whole mode, the whole way he approaches pitching is different than most pitchers, and he really is fun to catch. I know the first time I caught him in spring training, he worked so fast, I felt myself rushing so much I didn't have time to think about anything else. I was just trying to get back to the plate before he threw the ball. And, since then, and adjusting to him, I've come to really like the way he works and knowing now how he likes to pitch and set up hitters and do different things. He really is fun to catch.
Dave Concepcion starts the inning by grounding out to Larry Boa. 1 down in the bottom of the third, no score, and Cesar Geronimo to stand in. Geronimo hit .307 during the regular season. Geronimo in the championship series, 1 for 8. No pitch. Dick Stello said time had been called, so Kaat delivers, but no pitch, and now Geronimo is ready and grounds it backhanded nicely by Schmidt, who turns and gets him. Fine play.
That's a great play by the third baseman, Mike Schmidt. That's really a tough play. The ball comes off the bat a little bit funny. It's got a funny spin. It goes down there, and it can either hit the AstroTurf or it can hit that dirt part, and it makes it very difficult for the third baseman.
Gary Nolan, the batter, hits it foul off to the right, and the count is 0-1.
I talked a little bit about left field, Luzinski in left field. He turns sideways in left field. Got a funny way that he tries to play left field. Maybe gives him a little edge on the sun.
Greg stands off at an angle toward the foul line. Next pitch to Nolan, missing. Ball 2. 2-1.
I think
the way Luzinski sets up in left.
Excuse me, Al. As we see Luzinski, I also think, Tom, he figures anything in left center Maddox is going to get, so it gives him a head start toward the left field line.
3-1 the count, and Kaat wants a new ball. No runs, 2 hits for the Phillies. No runs, 1 hit for the Reds in the third inning. And Nolan is on. So Kaat, very uncharacteristically, walks the pitcher. Gary Nolan aboard. That's playing with fire. Now he's got to face Pete Rose.
I talked to Bob Boone for the game, and he was saying that one thing that has hurt Jim Kaat this year is getting behind hitters. He's the kind of pitcher that has to stay ahead of the hitter. He said it's funny, but a couple times during the year that right in the middle of the ball game, he'll lose his timing and he'll lose his rhythm, and boom, he'll walk 2 guys. When it's uncharacteristic, he just doesn't walk anybody, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 2 walks back to back. I don't know what's...
Pete Rose hits his foul off to the right, and the count is 0-1.
Very unusual to see him walk the opposing pitcher. That's not something you'll see Jim Kaat doing very often.
Gary Nolan at first base, 2 down. Rose hits it toward the middle, and Cash fields the ball on a bounce and steps on second for the unassisted fourth. For the Reds here in the third inning. No runs, no hits, and Nolan left the board at the end of 3 complete. Reds nothing, Phillies nothing.
Now Black & Decker has come along with a handyman's helper that's mighty strong. It's small and light, but it pulls its weight. It's the super incredible workmate. Yeah, it's more than a bench and more than a vise. It's got both things working, and that's kind of nice. You can pound on it, a saw on it, a plane a door on it, and a whole lot more. Yeah, when you're alone and there's work to do, the workmate'll help you see it through.
Tonight, taste this superb wine against your favorite. A California wine made predominantly from the French Colombard grape. A superb grape that is used to enhance the flavor of many fine white wines. This unexcelled French Colombard by Ernest and Julio Gallo has a uniquely dry yet gentle taste. Enjoy the distinctive and delightful flavor of French Colombard by Ernest and Julio Gallo.
Until now, the best way to get through winter weather was on tires with these, studs. But if you can't use or don't want studded winter tires, leave it to Firestone to come up with something new. Introducing Firestone's newest snowbiter, the RS Radial, with the starting and pulling power of studs on snow without the noise on dry roads. The Firestone RS steel-belted radial, the answer to studs.
You up to date on a couple of other things happening in sports today. Former Pittsburgh quarterback Terry Hanratty signed by John McKay's Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a 1-year contract. In the NBA, the Portland Trail Blazers sold Sidney Wicks to the Celtics. No players involved, straight cash. And in another NFL note, Marion Campbell fired yesterday as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. That was followed today, 3 of his assistant coaches resigning. Pat Pepler taking over as head coach at Atlanta. Sidney Wicks to Boston.
I don't understand that. That's a player of that caliber going to somebody for nobody else, just straight money. That's funny.
Go to the 4th inning with Mike Schmidt to lead things off. Schmidt, Luzinski, and Allen. No score. Gary Nolan has allowed 2 hits through 3. Jay Johnstone a bunt single in the 2nd inning. And Dave Cash a single to right center in the 3rd. Gary Nolan, born in Herlong, California, lives now in Cincinnati. 0-1 the count. Schmidt now 1 for 9 in the championship series. One and one the count. Used to be whispers about Nolan when Gary was hurt and still pitching in 72. He had no pain threshold. It really used to bother him, too, because he knew what the problem was, and as it turned out, the problem was quite extensive.
One of the things in baseball, Al, that the pitcher has to learn to do is recognize the difference between pain and stiffness. There is a big difference there. Gary, of course, 6'3", a little over 200 pounds. 239 innings pitched this year, really incredible. Only 27 base-on balls. These are basic stuff: fastball, curveball, changeup, 3 pitches. Very good control, usually, of all of them. And lately has been very effective with his fastballs. Had a very good fastball.
With a guy like Nolan, it's almost impossible, even though he throws a lot of changeups and off-speed stuff, it's almost impossible to really sit on it. Hit fair, down the left field line and into the corner. George Foster will play the carom. Schmidt has good speed and legs it into second easily. So Mike Schmidt leads off with a double in the 4th inning. 3 hits now off Gary Nolan, and up comes Greg Luzinski, who struck out in the 2nd inning.
You noticed the count when he hit the double. He waited, got ahead of the pitcher. That's something none of the Phillies have really been doing. Got ahead of the pitcher and got his pitch. Boom, double.
That's a good point. They have not seen very many 2-0 and 3-1 pitches in the first 2 games.
As a pitcher against either one of these teams, that's how you do not want to pitch. You've got to get the head. You don't want to pitch when you've got the count of 2 balls and no strikes, or 3 balls and a strike. The hitter is at a distinct advantage in that situation.
Greg Luzinski looks at a strike. Luzinski struck out in the 2nd inning. That's Nolan's only strikeout through 3. No score in the 4th. Pulled the string on it. Luzinski out in front. 0-2.
Great changeup. You know, when he came up, when Gary came up, first year I came up, as I mentioned before, he had as live a fastball as I've ever seen in the big leagues. Young kid, I think he was 18 or 19 years old when he came up.
18.
A tremendous fastball. He had great movement on it upstairs. He was very difficult to hit.
Luzinski stays alive by getting a piece of it.
He knew he was injured. He had to develop something that really could take the place of that effective fastball that he lost when he hurt his shoulder, and that's when he developed that changeup that you saw the first pitch of Luzinski. Outstanding changeup, great motion on it, and very deceptive.
Mike Schmidt off to his lead at second with nobody out. 4th inning, no score. Luzinski hits it down the line in right field, and that's in for extra bases. Mike Schmidt will come in to score. Griffey's got a pretty good arm. Luzinski on his way to second. The relay from Morgan is not in time. So back-to-back doubles by Schmidt and Luzinski, and the Phillies take the lead. 1-0 Philadelphia.
And for the 3rd time in the 3-game series, the Phillies have taken the lead. They led 1-0 in Game 1. They led 2-0 in Game 2. And as you watch it again, Luzinski doubling to the opposite field. They now lead 1-0 in Game 3. Let's see if they can hold it in this one. There you see Griffey. And, of course, the ball was cut off by Morgan, feeling there was no chance had he not.
So the Phillies ahead in the 4th inning, and Dick Allen ready to stand in, bench, a conference at the mound, and now Johnny on his way back behind the plate. Allen flied to Geronimo in the 2nd inning. Dick in the series is 2 for 7. Fouled away, out of play. 0-1. This is where it all started. Cincinnati, first professional baseball franchise. Manny Sarmiento throwing now in the Cincinnati bullpen. What a great feeling in this town. You walk around all over town, banners and pennants and souvenirs, and everybody dressed in red.
This is a red town. There's no question about it, Al. If you don't like baseball in this town, you're kind of an outcast. This is a baseball town. Got to be the #1 baseball town in the country today.
1-1 the count. Reds drew over 2.5 million. The city itself has less than 500,000 people, but the Reds draw from the surrounding areas. A lot of large cities around Cincinnati. Dayton, Columbus, Louisville, Kentucky. Hit to right field. should be deep enough to get Luzinski over to third as Griffey makes the catch. Luzinski is tagging, and Griffey's throw is off the mark, so Greg is able to go in standing up. So Allen goes a long way the opposite way. Griffey taking care of him, but Luzinski moving over. One down, and up comes Jay Johnstone.
That's a big play right there by Richie Allen, at least getting Luzinski to the third base with one out. Gives Johnstone a chance to drive him in with a sacrifice fly. Of course, Greg does not have the greatest speed in the world, but Richie hit the ball a long way. I think if Griffey's throw had been on line, he had a good chance of getting him. Very strong throw by Griffey in right field.
Griffey has a great arm, so does Geronimo. And Foster certainly doesn't fall into the scabby category in left. Infield plays in. Johnstone looks at a strike. Jay bunted up the third baseline for a base hit in the second inning. He is now 5 for 6 in the series. 1-0 Philadelphia, fourth inning. Nubber foul. Nolan likes to work out of a stretch man at third, something that Tom Seaver doesn't like to do.
Pardon?
Gary working out of a stretch position, man at third.
I'm much more comfortable in the windup.
I know.
No question. I'll have to go into that stretch position if I got runners on second and third, or first, let's say first and second and third, trying to keep their leads as short as I possibly can.
Why do you like to work out of the windup most of the time? The drive off the mound?
Just comfortable. It's just
roll down to Perez. Luzinski will have to hold, and Perez makes the play on Johnstone unassisted. So with the infield playing in, Johnstone rolling one to the right side and losing his bat in the process, and he's gone. So that's a big out. The infield can move back now, and Nolan will work on Bob Boone.
Got him out front in an off-speed pitch. He's way off balance. The job there, the hitter at the plate's got to try and at least get the ball in the air to the outfield. Give the runner at third base a chance to tag up, come in and score the run. It would have been a big run for them. If they get a couple of runs, they're a club that does have their back to the wall. They need all they can get.
1-0 Philadelphia. Bob Boone flying to left in the second inning. Foster made a great catch at the wall. 0-1 the count. Boone got off to a tremendous start this season. A lot of people felt he should have been the starting catcher in the All-Star game, but Johnny Bench had the most votes. And then Bob had a rough go of it in the second half. Luzinski is at third. On the count on Bob Boone. Breaking ball away, and the count 1-1.
You can see that the shadows have gone all the way past the pitching mound, so now that the hitter is not faced with a ball coming through a light spot and then coming into the shadows, what you've got now, you've got an opening in the upper deck here of the stadium, and you're going to get the shadow that is right behind home plate is shortly going to be right out in front of home plate, and you're going to have the same kind of problem again.
1 ball, 2 strikes. It really used to be tough here. The backdrop in center field used to be a very light gray, but they have darkened that backdrop right now. It makes it a bit easier, as you can see, the backdrop above the yellow line on the wall. Popped up in foul ground. Bench comes over near the photographer's stand. Might have a play and does. So Johnny Bench, just before he runs out of room, able to haul it in. And the Phillies here in the fourth inning settle for 1. They get a run. 2 hits. 1 left after 3 1/2. 1-0 Philadelphia.
And now, America, the new Chevrolet.
Now that's more like it. More like it.
The new Chevrolet has more headroom, more rear seat legroom, and more trunk room than the largest of our full-size 76s.
Now that's more headroom.
More legroom, more trunk room.
Now that's more like it. More like it.
The new Chevrolet has a higher EPA gas mileage rating than the 1976 full-size Chevrolets. It's also more manageable in city traffic.
Now that's more headroom.
More legroom.
More trunk room.
More mileage. More manageable.
Now that's more like it.
More like it.
The new Chevrolet is, we think, more beautiful, too.
One way or the other, he's got to know.
A Hutch's new love has a secret past as a party girl.
Is that what you're trying to tell me, buddy?
Starsky and Hutch, then. The premiere of a new series.
I don't want to be responsible for a mass murder.
Their assignments, the toughest.
I go, we all go.
Their cases, the most controversial. Strictly front-page crime. Robert Stack heads a special police team with different styles, but the same goal. Get the most wanted. Right after Starsky and Hutch.
Saturday starting at 9, 8 Central and Mountain on ABC.
Earlier in his career, Jim Kaat didn't work this rapidly. We asked him why the switch.
Well, it was out of desperation because I'd reached a point with my other style where I was no longer effective. And working with John Sain, who I think is probably the finest pitching coach in all of baseball, he thought that if I came up with a way that I could release the ball a little bit quicker, it would put more life on my pitches, possibly become a little more aggressive and run at the hitter. And so I experimented with it, and that's where the so-called quick pitch or quick windup evolved.
It's been successful through 3 today. Ken Griffey, the batter, hits it just foul outside first. And the count is 0-1. Bottom of the 4th inning. Phillies ahead 1-0 on back-to-back 4th-inning doubles by Mike Schmidt and Greg Luzinski. The Reds with Griffey, Morgan, and Perez. Griffey lays down a bunt. Schmidt is there to field, though, and gets him. Mike charging in quickly. He was playing very shallow. Got a good break on the ball and gets him by plenty. 1 down.
All right, Mike, of course, one of the best fielding third basemen in baseball. Knows that Griffey will bunt, got good speed right in there on the AstroTurf, got a nice, easy hop. Good, strong throw to first base for an easy out, really. But an excellent play because really anticipation, knowing that Griffey would try to bunt.
That is no pitch. Morgan had asked for time, was granted it. Kaat had delivered anyway, and Bob Boone is upset over the call by Dick Stello. Now Morgan is ready and hits it foul off to the left, 0-1.
Kaat makes a good point. He says many times it matters who the home plate umpire is. Some will give him no pitch, some will give him a strike.
1-1. Stello has been waiting today, waiting for the batter to settle in. And twice now Kaat has delivered, and it hasn't counted. 1-2. So Kaat ahead on Morgan with Perez waiting on deck.
Kaat's style is really, he throws with his arm, and it's really, Jim Kaat and I have different philosophies. I'm a power pitcher and trying to use the lower part of my body, the big muscles of my leg, where Jim is really concerned and tries to use his arm when he's throwing.
There's another pitch that won't count.
Now, Stello is standing there with his hand up. Get a shot of the umpire with his hand up. That means the time is not in.
Morgan hits it foul down the left field line, curling into the first seat, first row, back of the Philadelphia bullpen.
Jim's letting him have it. Jim's letting him have it pretty good, too, Al. He wants to pitch. He wants to upset Morgan as much as he can.
Joe hits a ground ball to the right side, and Dave Cash is there. One second baseman throws out the other. Dick Allen had a tough time finding first base that time, and Cash had to hesitate and to play a lot closer than it normally would have been. So Allen finding the bag, Cash had to wait for Dick to get back. And then able to get Morgan on a close play. 2 down, and Tony Perez is the batter. Takes a strike. Perez has the only hit for the Reds, a single in the 2nd inning. He was subsequently erased when Bench hit into a double play.
That was the eephus pitch, if you will, or his changeup. He'll use that once in a while to try and break the hitter's stride.
1-2. Not a good pitch, particularly to use to Perez. Think back to the World Series and Bill Lee in game number 7 last year. The blooper pitch out on the freeway.
Yep, that's still going. I threw Tony Perez a changeup once.
And?
Once.
And?
Once. It's still going, too.
Hit the team bus back of the bullpen in Shea. 2-2 pitch. Fouled away.
Tony Perez now gets change-ups off me in spring training, and they don't count. He runs by me, says, you throw me that in during the season. Throw it during the season.
Fouled away. Let him hit him in St. Petersburg. Huh?
All right, they hit all they want down in St. Petersburg, but not up here in Cincinnati or New York.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Perez. 1-0 Philadelphia, bottom of the 4th inning. 2 out, bases empty. Chopper hit down to Schmidt. Mike Fields and gets him. So Kaat is very sharp through 4. At the end of 4 very quick innings of play at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the Philadelphia Phillies leading the Cincinnati Reds in game number 3, 1-0.
Is that you, Harold? Sit down, boy. You know a lot about fast foods, fast dancing, fast living, but you don't know a darn thing about fast relief. Time you learned about plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Those bubbles don't pussyfoot around. Just look at them bursting into action, itching to get to your upset stomach, ready to speed relief to your aching head. Boy, that's fast.
Oh, what a relief it is.
Remember when gasoline used to be on sale? Not anymore. But better mileage for your car still is. Tests all over the country on cars like yours prove that replacing worn plugs with fresh Champion spark plugs alone can improve your car's mileage and performance. So even though gasoline isn't on sale anymore, better mileage is. Fill her up with Champions and save.
You know the Johnson folks have come up with a new free insurance plan to protect you against CB ripoff? That's right. Just buy a Johnson Messenger 23-channel CB radio between October 10th and December 18th, and y'all can sign up for the free insurance plan that protects your radio against theft for 12 months, no premium. Then if your new radio should get stolen, all you got to do is send in your replacement request, police report, $29 deductible charge, and a new radio will be shipped to you. See your Johnson CB dealer today about the CB theft protection plan. You hear?
Go to the 5th inning, 1-0 Phillies, and for more play-by-play, Warner Wolf.
All right, thank you, Al. The Phillies will have Boa, Kaat, Cash, and possibly others. 1-0 Phillies. We're in the 5th. Boa fouls it out of play. Boa 0 for 6 so far in the 3 games. Phillies scored their runs. Back-to-back doubles in the 4th by Schmidt and Lazinski, and that has been it. 1-strike pitch to Boa. Rose playing in for Boa. Phillies must win or it's all over. Left center field, Geronimo and Foster. Foster's there, and there's one down. In case you missed it, by the way, today George Foster was named the Sporting News National League Player of the Year. Joe Morgan was second in the voting, and Mike Schmidt was third. Thurman Munson was named the American League Player of the Year, and Danny Ozark the National League Manager of the Year. The Sporting News selections. Here's Kaat, who popped out in the 3rd inning. Goes after the first pitch. Bench with the mask off. Bench and Perez, and they collide and drop the ball. You're not going to see that much. Nolan, of course, it's his job to point out Perez or Bench. You take it.
I don't believe it, Warner.
What an unusual sight.
I don't believe it. This ball club just does not do those types of things. That's one of the things that a pitcher's job is, to come over and direct these traffic for these two guys. Now, they've both got their heads up. They can't be looking at each other. The pitcher's got to come over and either yell bench, 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 or Perez, or Tony, and then one of the guys will come off. You just don't see the Cincinnati Reds make those kind of mistakes.
They give Perez an error on the play. Of course, obviously, Bench, one of the finest defensive catchers in baseball, but let's face it, it's always easier to catch a pop-up like that with the fielder's glove rather than the catcher's mitt. Error Perez. 2-strike pitch to Kaat is low.
That was a good example of the changeup, Warner. You could see how far out in front Kaat was.
Warner Wolf along with Tom Seaver and Al Michaels. 1-0. Phillies lead, top of the 5th. 2-2 to Jim Kaat.
You normally wouldn't see another pitcher throw a changeup to his opposing pitcher, but Kaat is such a good athlete, really such a good hitter, that you've got to pitch to him just as if he were another good hitter in the lineup.
Not only have 9 hitters, they have 9 fielders when Kaat plays. 2-2 to Kaat. Phillies, besides obviously needing a win, psychologically to save face, so to speak. 101 wins during the regular season. Popped him up. That'll be out of play. In other words, if the Phillies should lose 3 straight, unfortunately, this is what the people will remember. The 1976 Phillies lost 3 straight to the Reds. People perhaps will not remember that the Phillies won 101 ball games during the regular season.
They won just one less than the Cincinnati Reds, and we're really, virtually, the Reds and the Phillies are 1 and 2 in every offensive department in the league.
2-2 to Kaat. And that's through there for a base hit. Jim Kaat gets the 5th hit off Gary Nolan.
Now that's the mark of a ball club that's going to take advantage of mistakes, Warner. You look back a minute and a half ago to that pop-up right now. Instead of having the pitcher in the dugout and having 2 outs, you've got him on first base with a base hit. That was the kind of things that the Reds were doing in the first couple of games over in Philadelphia. Now it looks maybe the Phillies are going to get some momentum going here. Jim Kaat helps himself, takes advantage of the mistake by Johnny Bench and Tony Perez.
Here's Cash, who's 4 for 10 in the series. Game number 3. If the Phillies win today, we'll be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock for game number 4. Kaat at first, 1 out. Foul ball down the right side. Jim Kaat at first base. Dave Cash, the batter. Kaat, an excellent base runner. In fact, is often used as a pinch runner. Don't forget tonight, 8 o'clock from Yankee Stadium, game number 3, the Royals and the Yankees. The winner will take it 2-1. Will take a lead 2-1. And that could be 2. Morgan, Perez, double play. So that's it for the Phillies. They do not score. And we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. The score remains Philadelphia 1, Cincinnati 0.
Going to be a little short. About 70 miles. This is Bob for Texaco Hope in the Gulf of Mexico. This water is 260 feet deep. It can cost up to 6 times more to drill for oil out here than on land. But we've got to do this if America's to become less dependent on unreliable sources of oil from abroad. At Texaco, we're working to keep your trust.
Let's get ready to blow her.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now comes Miller time. It takes as much skill to bring down a building as it does to put one up. And now's the time for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer.
Here's what you made one for.
Miller beer.
Tom, possibly on that key play. Here's Gary Nolan, only 5 feet from both Bench and Perez. Almost impossible for that to happen.
It is. It's just somebody's mental mistake on the mound. I think really the pitcher. He's got to hustle over there. You see Jim Kaat, if the Reds do hit a pop-up, Jim Kaat will go right toward that ball. He'll try and direct traffic in the infield and call who's going to catch it.
Al, in all the years that you did the Reds games, can you ever recall Bench and Perez colliding on a pop-up?
Not too often. It's a situation that you don't see very often because normally they're very astutely trained in how the fundamentals should be done. It's something that they work on every spring when they go to Tampa. But fortunately for the Reds, it did not make a difference because had Philadelphia been able to capitalize, that might have been the key in the ball game. But Cash hits into a double play, so no damage is done, as it turns out.
All right, let's take a look at that inning-ending double play. Kaat is the runner at first. Cash is the batter, and he hits it sharply right to Concepcion, to Morgan, to Perez for the double play. 6-4-3 if you're scoring. We now go to the bottom of the 5th. Foster, Bench, and Concepcion. Foster has not had a good series. He is 1 for 10. 1 for 10. That one hit was a home run, which put the Reds ahead 2-1, you might recall, in game number 1. Foster popped out in the 2nd inning.
One of the shadows are going to come back and be a factor here now.
Foster goes after the first pitch. And Johnstone calls everybody off. Maddox says, give it to me, and Johnstone takes it.
What we have here is a problem of communication, or whatever it was. Guys are having a little trouble getting together defensively, I guess.
Possibly the acoustics here with the large crowd.
Could be the noise.
Here's Bench, who's 3 for 10 in the series. Grounded into a double play in the second inning. Johnny Lee Bench from Binger, Oklahoma. Remember when Bench and Nolan came up together, you had one of the youngest batteries in the history of baseball. Nolan was 18 and Bench was 19. Used to be a joke when Bench went out to talk to him, they would look at each other and say, look, I don't know any more than you know.
What are we doing out here? Well, you can see in front of home plate the shadows have come back into the ball game. They're going to be a factor here until they get all across, get back behind the mound again.
2-2 to Johnny Bench. Concepcion is on deck. The Phillies lead 1-0 on back-to-back doubles in the fourth inning by Schmidt and Brzezinski. This is game number 3. To Bench, outside, 3-2. Kaat has walked 1, which is his average total per game. 3-2 to Bench. Center field. Maddox shielding his eyes from the sun. 2 down. Here's Concepcion, who's 1 for 7 in the series. But of course, that does not include the number of hits he has taken away from the Phillies.
Some of the great assets of shortstop. You really don't care what your shortstop hits if he's a great defensive player. Concepcion, of course, being a good offensive player is just icing on the cake.
2 balls to Concepcion. The Reds have only 1 hit. Perez a single in the second. Schmidt close to the line at third. There you see Mike Schmidt, right at Boa. And that's it. 3. After 5, it's Philadelphia 1, Cincinnati nothing. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
Meet Detective Holmes and his robot partner, Yoyanovich.
Who's that, Alex? That's the Fonz and his girlfriend, Pinky Tuscadero. Why are their faces pressed together? It's called kissing. Do you do that? Not with Pinky Tuscadero. What's a Fonz?
Holmes and Yo-Yo.
Hey!
Another choice for comedy Saturday night at...
I'd like to talk to you about our good deal free checking.
Sure, with a minimum balance in my account.
Yes, but
That's like holding my money hostage.
for the VIP account, only a $3 monthly service charge.
That's free?
Well,
I have free checking with the Union National Bank Charter Check Credit Account.
What?
No minimum balance, no service charge, a line of credit, and absolutely free checking.
Free checking that's really free?
Right, with the Charter Check Credit Account. Union National Bank, member FDIC.
$250,000, a lot of money. Yet you can buy Blue Cross and Blue Shield's $250,000 Major Medical Rider for only a few cents a day. What's more, Major Medical is now available to community-rated groups of 10 to 49 employees. It's designed to take care of those catastrophic bills that often occur following a serious accident or long-term illness. It's actually a $250,000 reserve fund. We've got great plans for you. Major Medical is just one of them.
In football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a new cornerback, and the Boston Celtics have signed a superstar forward. Details at 6:30 on Newswatch.
Instant news only on Newswatch.
Here's Gary Nolan, of course, who had to change his style due to an injury. Fastball pitcher to control pitcher.
Well, I think I was very fortunate to be able to throw 3 or 4 years, fairly hard and sort of set the pattern for the type of pitcher I am now. And what I mean by that is I got enough experience in the major leagues by just, mostly on a fastball, that I could sort of, after a while, I established myself, and when I went on the sidelines, I was more conscious of the fact that I wasn't going to be able to throw hard for my whole career, so it'd be to my advantage to go on the side and work on a curve and change up. So I did, and then with the surgery I've had and with all the arm problems I've had in the past, it's been a blessing in disguise, because I could have been a guy that could have went out there and just thrown fastballs and never really realized how to pitch. My career probably would have been ended.
All right, Gary Nolan explaining his situation as Maddox hits the second pitch and grounds out 6-3. Concepcion to Perez. Now, as Schmidt comes in, keep one thing in mind. Here you have the home run leader in the major league, Schmidt, with 38. Gary Nolan led the National League in giving up the most home runs with 28. Well, Schmidt certainly has disciplined himself. He's letting some pretty good pitches go by, Tom.
That's what we talked about before. I mean, that's a pitch that pitch is right there. That's a pitch that Mike Schmidt can really handle.
Base hit in the left field. Foster running the ball down. Schmidt goes halfway and comes back to first. So Schmidt is 2 for 3. Single and a double. And is now 3 for 11 in the series. Let's take a look at Rose playing the third baseline. Over Rose's head. So Nolan will now have to face Lazinski, who doubled in Schmidt for the only run of the game in the 4th inning. One to nothing. Phillies lead. We're in the 6th. The Phillies must win today or it is all over. And the throw to first by Boone.
It was a good throw by George Foster in left field. We were talking about that last night. Remember, when you're a kid playing pickup ball, you always put your worst fielder out in right field. Well, that's not the case here in Major League Baseball. You put the guy with your best arm in right field. The situation could occur right here. Let's say Greg Luzinski gets a base hit to right field. You want to try and keep the runner on first from getting all the way around to third. The strong arm in right field will keep the runner at second base, not letting him get to third.
Excuse me, Tom. Billy DeMar's third base coach giving the signals. Schmidt at first, 1 out. Right field, out of play. Alabama and Tennessee this coming Saturday. NCAA football here on ABC. That'll be 3:30 Eastern Time. Alabama and Tennessee. Certainly an excellent Southeast Conference game. 3:30 this Saturday here on ABC, Alabama and Tennessee. Schmidt leads off first, 1 out in the 6th. Lazinski, center field. Geronimo on his horse near the fence. He's got it! Cesar Geronimo pulls it in just about near the 385 situation.
2 good plays in the Cincinnati outfield today. There's the second one by Geronimo. The first one, of course, by Foster against Boone in left field. Geronimo just covers a tremendous amount of ground in left field. He's like a gazelle out there. Not only the fantastic throwing arm, I would think probably the best throwing arm of any center fielder in Major League Baseball. Tremendous speed.
2 out. Schmidt still at first. Schmidt stole 14 bases this year. This is Allen. Allen faced Nolan 6 times this year and had 3 hits, 2 doubles, and a home run.
He got one of those 28 home runs, huh?
That's right. Phillies lead 1-0. We're in the 6th. There goes Schmidt. Al, what do you think? Think Schmidt had that base stolen?
He got a pretty good jump on Gary Nolan that time. Bench almost got hit on the bare hand by the foul tip coming back. You talked about before the fact that when you're a kid, the worst guy goes out to play right field. Same thing, you look at Bench here. It used to be the odd man out was the catcher. Oh, yeah, well, this guy can't play. We'll put him back at the plate. We want the glamour spot. Shortstop, we want to pitch. This guy has probably done more to glamorize one position than any other man.
Yes, he has. Schmidt does not go. Once again, keep in mind this is Bench's 18th championship playoff game. No one has ever stolen a base off Johnny Bench in championship play. 2 balls, 1 strike to Richie Allen. Schmidt at first with 2 outs. The Phillies have 6 hits. The Reds 1. A single by Perez in the 2nd inning.
Joe Morgan's playing Richie DePaul here, and they're playing him the opposite way in the outfield. It's kind of unusual, Warner. He's got very good power the other way. But on the right side of the infield, Morgan is really kind of over behind second base, and in the outfield, they're playing him to right field. Don't play him to pull in the outfield. That's unusual.
2 balls, 1 strike to Richie Allen. 2 outs. Top of the 6th. Phillies lead 1-0. Schmidt at first. Allen 2 for 8 in the series. Three and 1 to Allen. All right, gentlemen, what about it? Hit sign for Richie Allen if it's over?
No question he's going to swing. 3 for 6 or whatever, 2 doubles and the home run.
2 for 8.
Don't give that number 5 hitter very many take signs. 3 and 1.
Oh, he's got to be swinging here.
There goes Schmidt. Throw to second. And you see it. The first stolen base against Johnny Bench. Now, look, Bench is saying, what about a foul tip? And they're checking with the third base umpire.
Allen walked. It's academic at second.
That's right.
Ball 4.
You're right. Excuse me. Absolutely. Stand corrected.
I think Bench is appealing for a strike. He thought the pitch was a strike. A breaking ball. Looked like it might have been in the strike zone. There you see Schmidt going down the second. Got a good jump. He's got exceptionally deceptive speed for a big man. He's really a fast third baseman.
Bench maintained the ball was tipped. And for strike, that would have been 3 and 2.
A lot of things going off now. Joe Morgan, I don't think he's quit, but he's gone to the bench. He's getting enough pair of shoes.
New shoes. This is the second half shoes. So no stolen base.
It's the left shoe if you're keeping score.
Left shoe 1, right shoe nothing, right? Could have been Spike down there at second base. Mike Schmidt sliding in, or could have broken his shoelaces. A lot of things could happen.
Jay Johnstone will be the batter with 2 out and 2 on, and Johnstone, the hottest man in the series, 5 for 6. 5 for 6 against Reds pitching in this 3-game series. Make it 5 for 7 now. So Allen walks with 2 outs. The first walk given up by Nolan. John William J. Johnstone. 1 ball pitch to Johnstone. Jay looks a little like Warren Beatty. Schmidt at second, Allen at first. 2 out in the Phillies 6th. Philadelphia leads 1-0. 1-1 count on Jay Johnstone. Phillies have led in all 3 games. Game 1, 1-0. Game 2, they led 2-0. And lead here 3-0. Or excuse me, 1-0 in game 3. 2 ball, 1 strike pitch to Johnstone. 3 and 1.
Reds have Manny Sarmiento again throwing in the bullpen, and he was up earlier in the 4th inning when they scored on the doubles by Schmidt and Luzinski.
Nolan has fallen behind on the last 4 hitters. 3 and 1 to Johnstone. Schmidt at second, Allen at first, 2 outs. And Johnstone goes after the 3 and 1 and fouls it out of play.
There's a pitch that was out of the strike zone. One of that fastball upstairs. That's really not the pitch that he should be looking for in that situation. At least in the strike zone. He's got to look for the fastball, obviously, but he's got to get it down where he can handle it.
So everybody moves on this one. Schmidt off of second, Allen off of first, 3-2 to Johnstone, 2 outs. Nolan's 3-2. There go the runners. Out of play.
They have good speed on both the bases now. Mike Schmidt, very good speed at second base. Richie Allen runs very well at first base. Johnstone as well at plate with a 3-2 count has very good speed.
Boone on deck. Should Johnstone get on? The pitch is low. The bases are loaded for Boone. So Nolan walks his second consecutive batter. And that'll bring up Boone, who's 2 for 6 in the series.
That pitch there will drive a pitcher crazy, Warren. I can tell you from experience. Not only do you not want to go to 3-2 with men on base, but then when you get to 3-2, at least you want to throw a pitch that's got a chance to be a strike. Now, Gary threw that pitch low and in. It was in the dirt. I mean, there's not even no possibility of the umpire calling that pitch a strike. Now he's got the bases loaded. Bob Boone at the plate.
Johnstone, Allen, and Schmidt, your base runners. There you see Schmidt at third, Allen at second, and Johnstone at first base. 2 out.
It looks like something might be wrong with Gary Nolan. Maybe his shoulder is bothering him. I'm not sure. Larry Shepard, the pitching coach of the Cincinnati Reds, has gone out. If you see action in the Cincinnati bullpen, Shepard has gone to the mound. He doesn't look very comfortable, whether his shoulder is getting him tight or just exactly what it is. Of course, we can't tell up here. But he's having some control problems, and he doesn't look like he's very fluid to me. Looks like he might be trying to force the ball. You see him bending over. He's hurting somewhere.
Tom, in your career, has there ever been a time when you actually felt that you didn't have it anymore and a manager came out and said, what about it? And you told a little white lie and stayed in there?
Oh, no question. That happens all the time. Here comes Sparky Anderson out of the Cincinnati dugout. Something's wrong on the mound.
They had to ask for permission for Sparky to come out here, and it doesn't count as a trip to the mound in the sense that he's checking for an injury, but they're going to bring in Sarmiento anyway. I'm wondering if Nolan is hurt, if it doesn't go back to when he covered first base in the third inning on Boa's ground ball. He came away from that a little bit shaky.
He didn't look right walking away from first base over there, didn't he? I couldn't tell exactly what happened, but he didn't look quite right.
So it's possible that's where this might have started. And Sparky's not going to take any chances. He's going to bring in Sarmiento.
So Gary Nolan gets a nice hand as he walks off the mound and goes 5 2/3 innings, allows 6 hits and 1 run, but would be charged if any of the 3 base runners score. This is Manny Sarmiento, only 22 years old, and the first Venezuelan pitcher in the history of Major League Baseball. Remember, they called him up in July?
Pretty tough spot also. It's his first championship series action, but in his first appearance, he was the winner in a game in relief for the Reds. Did very well at Indianapolis. He was going great guns down there, and Rich Hinton was having his problems working out of the Cincinnati bullpen, so they sent Hinton down and brought Sarmiento up, and he's done a great job in relief for them.
He was recommended by Dave Concepcion.
I think David said he struck him out in Venezuela. The Reds heard about that, figured they better take a look at Sarmiento.
Don't forget tonight here on ABC, 8 o'clock, the Yankees and Royals in game number 3 from Yankee Stadium. Howard Cosell, Reggie Jackson, and Keith Jackson. The winner will take the lead 2-1, meaning the loser of tonight's game must come back and win 2 straight. This is Bob Boone. The bases are loaded, 2 outs. Johnstone at first, Allen at second, Schmidt at third. The Phillies lead 1-0. Sarmiento has come in to try and pitch the Reds out of it and perhaps trail by still only 1 run. Boone goes after the first pitch from Sarmiento. He's already walking off the mound as Geronimo pulls it in. So Sarmiento, with 1 pitch, gets Bob Boone and gets the Reds out of the jam. So we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. The score remains Philadelphia 1, Cincinnati 0.
Short base, let chick
The Schick injector system loves your face this quick. Push, pull, click, click, and you lock a Teflon-coated blade into place for a really smooth, close shave.
It's your face, let Schick love it.
Schick injector system, regular or twin blades.
Coming right at you, color coming to stay. Sharp, beautiful pictures, the SX70, Pronto way.
Get sharp, beautiful pictures in minutes with Pronto, Polaroid's low-priced automatic, and the new super clear SX70 film.
It's clear, it's got to be Pronto. It's clear, it's got to be Pronto. It's clear, Polaroid's Pronto.
What do you say?
Pronto!
Got a story to tell you, it's short and sweet. About 3 Chevy Monzas loose on the street. Coupes are moving all dazzling class. Plenty of action, plenty of sass. It's a Monza. 2 + 2 running swift and low. Getting kind of famous for his get up and go. It's a Monza. Here comes Spider out of the night. Calm down, honey, you ain't gonna bite. It's a Monza by Chevrolet. It's a Monza by Chevrolet. It's a
Al, I think you called it right on the nose. The word is that Gary Nolan had a strained groin, and you said Nolan hit that ball, and Nolan covered first. He didn't look right after he ran over and covered the base.
Very possible. Nolan was pitching well, and then all of a sudden started to lose his rhythm and had to come out of the game. But Nolan pitched very, very well. Sarmiento came on, threw 1 pitch, and Boone chased it and flied out to end a big threat.
You know, it looks like something had to be wrong with him because he doesn't walk anybody usually during the game. All of a sudden walked Allen and Johnstone back to back.
This is Geronimo going after the first pitch, fouling it off. Sarmiento is on deck. And what a job he did, huh? 1 pitch, boom, that's it. Cesar Geronimo has not had a good series offensively. 1 for 9. Hit .307 in the regular season. And during the regular season, 1 for 9 against Kaat. So Geronimo 1 for 10 against Kaat this year.
The Cincinnati fans are ready, Warner. You can see, you can hear them. They're ready. They want to rally. They want to get the Big Red Machine offense going.
Outside to Geronimo, 2-2.
There's a little champagne on ice in this town.
And some good German beer, too, right?
2-2 to Geronimo, out of play. A chance right then, of course, in the top half of the 6th for the Phillies to break it open. But the score remains 1-0. And as Joe Morgan said, when we trail 1-0, that's no lead. Swing and a miss, that's it for Geronimo. Kaat's first strikeout. Geronimo is now 1 for 11 against Kaat this year.
You know, after he gets by Sarmiento, then it's really going to be interesting because Kaat this season quite often will go through the order a couple of times, and then you'll start to gauge him a little bit better the 3rd time around. And now after Sarmiento, the lineup has been turned over twice.
This motion is very deceptive, and that's one of the things that makes him an effective pitcher. Exactly right, Al. Once you do see him a couple of times, you begin to get comfortable up at the plate with him.
Sarmiento, as a batter, has never had a base hit in Major League Baseball. Went to bat 7 times this year, 0 for 7.
The Reds in trouble. I mean, they've had a lot of trouble with Kaat today. They still only have 1 hit and really have not hit the ball hard all day. Kaat looks to me as if he's throwing very well. You have to be extremely strong to throw with his kind of motion, with his mechanics, with a tremendously strong arm and shoulder.
Cash to Allen, 2 gone here in the 6th. And that'll bring up Pete Rose. Rose, who holds just about every offensive record in playoffs. Don't forget, of course, the story last night, the erroneous story, which Rose denied earlier today. False. He does not want to be traded. A true story. Pete Rose, most hits in championship play, most doubles, most singles, most total bases, most hits.
You could hear the hand he got when he came up there. These fans know that he's the guy that gets this machine going. They're looking for a base hit from Pete, but that's a ground ball to Cash. It was him out easy at first.
That's it for the Reds. 1, 2, 3. They go down, and after 6 complete, Jim Kaat working on a strong one-hitter. It's Philadelphia 1, Cincinnati nothing.
It's the human side of anything that matters most. Isn't that right? Like when a family gets together for a meal, and the kids are enjoying it so much, it almost makes you laugh just to watch them. People used to drive for miles to enjoy my Kentucky Fried Chicken dinners. They were the kind of meals that you were proud to put on your table. And you know what? They still are.
Real goodness from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
How do you improve the Firestone Forever battery? It's so good already that if it ever fails to hold a charge for you in that car, Firestone will replace it free with proof of purchase, providing the battery hasn't been damaged due to accident or abuse, commercial use excluded. How do you make it even better? You make it so you shouldn't ever have to add water. The Firestone Forever battery, now even better.
Hi, I'm Steve Garvey. I make my living playing baseball. It's my profession. It's my way of life. And believe me, it's a good life. But best of all, it's a game. It's fun. Excitement, glamorous. It's a fellowship between men. I can't think of a better way of making a living. Can you?
On behalf of Major League Baseball, Boa, Kaat, and Cash against Sarmiento here in the Phillies 7th. 3 times the Phillies have had the bases loaded in these 3 games and have not scored. Boa this afternoon 0 for 2. He's 0 for 7 in the series. 30-year-old Lawrence Robert Boa. Two balls to Boa. Only run of the game. Back-to-back doubles in the 4th inning by Schmidt and Lazinski, and that's been it. 2-0 to Boa.
This young pitcher's going to be 21 years old pretty soon. There's Jim Kaat on deck. 20 years old pitching in the playoff game here.
Facing a pitcher 18 years older than him. 3-0 to Boa.
Maybe taken again, I would imagine, Warner, no question. You got the pitcher coming up next. You want to utilize that pitcher, get a sacrifice out of him, get Boa down to second base. That's a high National League strike right there. That ball's up there.
Ron Reed warming up in the Philly bullpen. 6'6" Ron Reed, former rebounder for the Detroit Pistons. 3-2 to Boa. He walks him. So Boa gets on to lead off the Phillies 7th. That'll bring up Kaat, who singled in the 5th inning, but keep in mind his purpose now is to move Boa along. An excellent bunter, Jim Kaat.
Reds now have more bone throwing in the bullpen. Pedro pitched 4 very strong innings in relief of Pat Zachary on Sunday.
Concepcion talking to Sarmiento in their native tongue, no doubt. Jim Kaat, who will be 38 years old next month, squares the bunt. Does so. Nice bunt, first base side. Perez, 1 play to Morgan, so the sacrifice works. 3-4 if you're scoring. Boa moves to second, and that'll bring up Cash. So the Phillies have 2 shots to bring Boa in with Cash and Maddox.
Kaat reminds me a lot of Seaver. He does so many things to help himself. Bunts, gets a base hit now and then. Well, you used to get base hits anyway. Feels his position.
Now and then is right.
Here's Cash, 1 for 3 this afternoon. He's 4 for 12 in the series. Boa with a good lead off second base. Manny Sarmiento from Venezuela working for the Reds. This is Dave Cash. Boa at second. 1 out. Phillies batting. Top of the 7th. Philadelphia leads 1-0. One to Dave Cash. Led the National League in triples this year. Bourbon warming up in the Red bullpen. You remember what he did in Game 2. 4 innings shutout ball. Pitch to Cash. Left field. Foster shades his eyes. Has it in range. One-hands it. And Boa returns to second. So Cash flies out to left. And that'll leave it up to Maddox. Phillies shooting for that insurance run to take the bunt away from Cincinnati. Maddox 0 for 3 this afternoon. He's 2 for 11 in the series. Gary Lee Maddox from Cincinnati, Ohio. And there it goes in the left field. That'll be a base hit. Boa will score. Foster runs it down to the wall. Maddox on his way to second will make it in the second. The Phillies lead 2-0.
That's a big run batted in right there, Warner. That's what the Phillies have not been doing, getting that other run in with 2 outs. They just haven't been getting the clutch base hit when they needed it. And there again, the thing, Maddox swinging at the first pitch and lining the double down the left field line, scoring the runner easily from second base. And then again, you've got Mike Schmidt coming up. Maddox right down at second base in scoring position.
Larry Shepard out to the mound to talk with Bench and Sarmiento.
I'm wondering if Shepard is not talking about, do you think we'd have a better shot getting Schmidt or Luzinski at this point? They're both right-handed batters, and it could be that Manny's style may be more conducive to getting Luzinski as opposed to Schmidt. That's possible. We'll see.
Tom, who would you rather pitch to?
I don't think so. I think they're going to go after Schmidt. They can't pitch around this guy, and the other guy pop one out of here. They'd be down 5-0. I think they've got to go right after this hitter, Mike Schmidt.
Schmidt 2 for 3 this afternoon, single and a double. He's 3 for 11 in the playoff series. Maddox at second. Schmidt lines it. It's a fair ball. Over the bag. Maddox will score. Schmidt will get his second double of the day, and it's 3-0 Phillies. So Mike Schmidt with 2 doubles and a single puts the Phillies ahead 3-0. And look at the Philly dugout. They're all up. They're all up to congratulate Maddox. They're all up ready to go. The Phillies are on their feet. They lead 3-0, and that's it for Manuel Sarmiento. He is out of this ball game.
That's exactly what this club is need, Warner. They need those guns, big guns. Come through.
Sarmiento leaves the game. We'll be back in just a moment.
I want you to see what every professional model knows. Look how just a little wetness soaks through cottons, silks, and synthetics. That's why I use Arid Extra Dry. Arid helps stop wet spots that soak through clothes. Arid has a patented aluminum chlorohydrate formula. When you need it, it works. With Arid, I can look my best in cottons, silks, synthetics, and you can too. Use Arid Extra Dry daily. Help stop wet spots that soak through clothes.
It's me, George Burns. For a guy who used to smoke cigars, even in the shower, I never thought I'd get real smoking satisfaction from a pipe tobacco. But this Sir Walter Raleigh is terrific. Made from all burley tobacco. Mellow, rich, really a quality smoke. Terrific. And the pouch matches my shower curtains.
The quality pipe tobaccos of America.
This is Pedro Bourbon working to Greg Luzinski. Mike Schmidt at second base. 2 outs. The Phillies lead 3-0. Luzinski fouls it out of play. Luzinski 1 for 3 this afternoon. Double in Schmidt in the 4th inning to put the Phillies ahead 1-0. Bourbon, you recall, worked in Game 2, went 4 innings, allowed 4 hits, no runs. In 16 2/3 against the Phillies this year, he's allowed only 1 earned run. A ball and 2 strikes. The 25-year-old Greg Lazinski.
Warner, I think one important thing to mention at this point, if the Phils had gotten these 2 runs in with 2 outs, something they weren't doing. This
2-2 to Lazinski, right at Concepcion to Perez, and that's it for the Phillies. But Philadelphia scores twice in this 7th inning on a walk by Boa and doubles by Maddox and Smith. So, with the Reds coming to bat in the bottom of the 7th inning, it's Philadelphia 3, Cincinnati nothing.
You know, it used to take 43 Mark Throne Beer baseball cards to get 1 call for Rilla. So I was surprised when the light beer people called me to do this commercial. I mean, I do drink light beer, and it tastes great. It's got 1/3 less calories than their regular beer, and it's less filling. But, you know, I'm kind of worried, because if I do for light beer what I did for baseball, I'm afraid their sales might go down.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
You're looking at the only oil filter of its kind in the world. Monroe's new Filter Plus. The difference is a patented time-release chemical disc. This disc automatically dissolves protective chemicals back into your oil, rebuilding its protective potency as no ordinary filter can. Protecting your engine as no ordinary filter can. For the kind of double protection no other filter can give your car, get Monroe's Filter Plus, the only oil filter of its kind in the world.
Meet Detective Holmes and his robot partner, Yoyanovich.
Alex, I can't tell you how much it pleases me that you think of me as a person and not just a machine. Well, we're partners. We're together all the time. Now, what kind of a relationship would we have if I didn't think of you as a person? Thanks, Alex. Now, leave me alone and drink your oil.
Holmes and Yo-Yo.
Another choice for comedy Saturday night on ABC.
Warner Wolf along with Al Michaels and Tom Seaver. It's the bottom of the 7th inning of Game 3. The Phillies lead 3-0. Jim Kaat is working on a 1-hit shutout. Griffey, Morgan, and Perez for the Reds here in the 7th. Griffey after the first pitch. Nice play by Castro to first base. So Ken Griffey, who beat out, here's Griffey again. Griffey, who has beaten out 75 infield hits the last 2 years, 38 last year, 37 this year, beats out another infield hit. Now, Morgan has been playing games all day with Kaat. He'll step in the box and call time. In other words, time is still out while Morgan's in the box. The pitch. That's what is upsetting Kaat. Morgan will step in, but time is still called.
That's unusual, Warner, because usually the umpire, once that hitter does get into the box and take his stance, he'll let the pitcher go ahead and pitch to home plate.
2 balls and a strike to Joe Morgan. The Cincinnati crowd comes alive. Perez is on deck. The Phillies lead 3-0. We're in the 7th. Griffey at first base. Ball 3. Morgan has walked 5 times in this series.
Still looking for his first base hit, believe it or not. Been on base all those times with base on balls, but still looking for number 1 on base hits.
Morgan 0 for 6 in the series. However, has stolen 2 bases. 4 walks. 3-2 to Morgan. Notice Morgan take off his batting glove and put on his sliding glove. There you see Ron Reed in the Philly bullpen.
This crowd is really getting with it, aren't they? It's the first chance the Cincinnati Reds have really got something going. They are really Reds country people here.
And that is going to be it for Jim Kaat. How about that?
Well, he's got to figure that he's got the right-handed hitters coming up right now. He's got Perez, Foster, and Bench. And Kaat gave him, I think, what he wanted. Give me 6, I think was Danny's thought. And he figures with the 3 right-handed hitters coming up right now, he's got a better shot with Reed.
Coach Kaat obviously not very happy. I don't blame him, but I think you got to play the percentages here. And he'll hustle off the field. There's one fine gentleman right there. Jim Kaat. He pitched a whale of a ball game so far today, and if the Phillies hang on, they're ahead here 3-0. He'll be the winning pitcher.
So Jim Kaat goes 6 full innings, allows 2 hits, 2 singles, 2 walks, and leads with a 3-0 lead. This is Ron Reed. Also, one other change. Bobby Tolan has gone to left field. Greg Lazinski is out of the ball game for defensive purposes. This program is being brought to you as a special presentation of ABC Sports. Let's pause 5 seconds now to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
WAST Albany, Channel 13.
This is Ron Reed. 33 years old from LaPorte, Indiana. Was 8-7 this year. Had 14 saves. But here is the interesting statistic. He's 14-13 lifetime against the Cincinnati Reds. And any time you hold an advantage over the Reds lifetime, you must be doing something right.
Warner, they're bringing Tolan in here. Lazinski made the last out in the inning, so they're going to flip the order. Have Reed hit 4th. Tolan goes to left field. He's going to hit in the number 9 spot. Ozark figuring that Lazinski might not come up again. So that's why he makes the switch, the double switch here.
All right, this is Perez, 1 for 8 in the series, single in the 2nd inning. Morgan at first, Griffey at second, nobody out. Reds trail 3-0. Reed, you might recall, pitched in Game 2, went 2 2/3, allowed only 1 hit.
They got Reed from St. Louis last winter, from the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, he pitched a long time for the Atlanta Braves.
So Perez fouls it out of play. 2 strikes to Tony Perez.
Down in Atlanta, he was a fastball slider pitcher and had a big changeup. And the thing that he's done differently, I think, this year, he's gone back to his fastball, and he's been very aggressive with that fastball, and has made him a very effective relief pitcher.
2 of the best base runners on the bases at this point, Griffey and Morgan. 2 strikes to Perez. Out of play down the right field line. Little trivia for you. Reed was the winning pitcher when Aaron hit his 715th off Al Downing. 2 strikes to Tony Perez, the all-time Cincinnati RBI man. Griffey and Morgan, the runners. There it goes, center field, base hit. Griffey around third. He'll score. Maddox up with the ball. Morgan's going to try for third. The throw goes to the second. It's 3-1.
That Tony Perez is some hitter with men on base. He is just absolutely incredible. He just goes up there and he got men in scoring position time and time again. You see him drive those runs in. He's really an incredible on-base hitter.
Here's George Foster, the National League's leading RBI man. Fouls it off to the right.
Pretty good bit of base running by Morgan also. Maddox covers a lot of ground but does not really have a great arm. And Morgan gambled, went to third, and hoped that the throw would go to third. They get the tying run to second. But Maddox threw into second base.
Something they did not do the other day. Threw to the wrong base. This time, there's Tug McGraw in the Philadelphia bullpen, warming up.
who has not been effective in this series.
He's had 2 bad outings. Talked to him last night. He's very unhappy with the way he's pitched so far.
Nobody out. Perez at first. Morgan at third. 3-1. Foster the batter. A ball and 2 strikes to George. Foster, 1 for 11 in this series. That one hit was a home run in game number 1. 3-1, Phillies lead. Jim Kaat has just been knocked out, replaced by Ron Reed.
When I got to the ballpark this morning, Warner Foster was down underneath the stands, hitting balls off the tee. He was practicing keeping his left side in at the plate. He felt he was opening up too much. Here's a guy down the end of the season underneath practicing all by himself, trying to smooth his swing out.
The pitch to Foster. Right field. Johnstone's back near the fence. He's got it. Morgan tags easily and scores. Perez holds it first, and the Phillies lead 3-2. A sacrifice fly by George Foster. Warner Wolf along with Al Michaels and Tom Seaver here at Riverfront Stadium. The Reds have just cut the Phillies lead from 3-0 to 3-2. Perez at first base, 1 out. Johnny Bench is the batter.
You know, this ball club, this Cincinnati club, they just sit back there. They know they're going to get going sometime. You just don't shut them out. You don't shut them out, especially here at Riverfront Stadium. They were going along, and Jim Kaat had a one-hitter. They know they're going to get their offense rolling sometime. Somebody's going to get on. All of a sudden, boom, they got 2 runs on the board. Look who's up at the plate. Johnny Bench went after a big, slow curveball.
Tony Perez surprisingly stole 10 bases this year. He's at first with 1 out. 1 ball, 1 strike to Johnny Bench. Ron Reed in relief of Jim Kaat. Bench 0 for 2 in this game and 3 for 11 in the series. Reed's pitch to Bench. Cincinnati went into this inning trailing 3-0. Griffey singled. Morgan walked. Perez singled in Griffey. Morgan went to third. Foster's just knocked him in with a sacrifice fly. It's 3-2. Outside the bench, 3-1. Concepcion would be next.
Reed is definitely having control problems here. He's getting behind the hitters. Doesn't look comfortable on the mound at all. He's falling off to the left. Can't get behind the hitter like Johnny Bench.
3-1 the Bench. Ball 4.
He dropped that pitch as a strike. He is hot at the umpire. He came in off the mound, said a couple words, kicking the dirt behind the rubber on the mound. Bob Boone, of course, went out to him, tried to settle him down a little bit.
All right, check this confrontation. You'll recall Reed was quoted as saying, if Concepcion ever crowds the plate, I will kill him. He said he was misquoted. He said, I will drill him. So as Concepcion steps in, he's facing Reed.
He's not going to drill him in this situation.
No way.
He's got men on first and second, 1 out. He's got a job to do. He's got the tying run at second base. Tony Perez and the go-ahead run for the Cincinnati Reds at first base. Johnny Bench.
1 out pitch to Concepcion. Pops him up. Cash at second. Automatic infield fly rule. 2 down.
Ozark has an interesting decision to make. He's got McGraw in the bullpen. The Reds have the left-handing Geronimo coming up. But if he were to go to McGraw, who you see now, it's possible that Anderson would then go to his bench, and he's got Bob Bailey and Ed Armbrister. And so Ozark right now is on his way to the mound. It'll be interesting to see what Danny does here.
Plummer, Bailey, Youngblood, Armbruster, or Flynn. You know, some people say Anderson might be in trouble with the designated hitter if they make the World Series. I don't see what the complaint would be.
Yeah, what trouble?
You got to remember, too, that Tug McGraw, in his 2 outings for the Phillies over at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, was very ineffective. Talked to Tug last night. We were at dinner at the same restaurant, and he said he was very unhappy with the way that he's thrown the ball. 2 wild pitches, bad control.
Tom Seaver giving his analysis here, along with Warner Wolf and Al Michaels. This is Cesar Geronimo, 1 for 10 in the series. 2 out, 2 on. Perez at second, bench at first. The Reds trail 3-2. We're in the home 7th. Reed working against Geronimo. Count to Cesar Francisco Geronimo.
Geronimo's 1 for 10 in the series so far in these 3 games. He gets a base hit here. It'll be a big one. Could tie up the ball game for the Reds here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Perez at second, bench at first. 2 outs. Phillies lead 3-2. Reed's 1-1 to Caesar is low.
Pitcher spot next for Bone out on deck, but Eastwood throwing in the bullpen.
2 balls, 1 strike to Geronimo. Make it 3-1.
George Sugar at third base flashing the sign. Don't know whether Geronimo will get the hit in this situation or not. This is definitely a manager's decision.
Perez at second, bench at first. 3-1 to Geronimo. Perez gets a break here. Not the fastest man in the world will get the break and run on the 3-2 pitch. 2 on, 2 out, 3-2 to Geronimo. There go the runners. Left field. Here comes Bobby Tolan coming in. Tolan coming in. Can't get it. Base hit is fired. Perez scores. Bench scores. On his way to third is Geronimo. He's in with a triple. The Reds lead 4-3. Let's watch it again and keep in mind Bobby Tolan went into left field at the start of this inning to replace Greg Lazinski. Geronimo slices it to left field. Tolan coming in. Bounces over his head on the artificial turf. Smith, the third baseman, has to run the ball down in left field. The third baseman runs the ball down in left field. Perez and bench score. The Reds lead 4-3.
It's funny, even on that play, they ended up with nobody at third base. Nobody covering third base. That's why Geronimo got away around. There's a shot of a very gloomy Philadelphia Phillies bench. They're pretty unhappy right now. The Reds have scored 4 runs here in the bottom of the 7th. Philadelphia was leading 3-0. All of a sudden, 4 runs up, and the Phillies are down by a run.
Mike Lum will come in and pinch hit for Pedro Borbon. Hey, let me ask you a question. With a 4-3 lead, 2 outs, what are the chances on Geronimo trying to steal home? You don't go for it?
Not with a left-hand hitter here, no.
Think back to the double switch in the inning also. Lazinski started the inning in left. Tolan came on, then had to try to back up on the ball, realizing he didn't have a play.
I think he had a little trouble with the sun out there, too.
Exactly.
Initially, when he left, he couldn't judge how far the ball was hit.
2 strikes to Lum. Out of play. Lum against Reed, former teammates with the Braves. So the Cincinnati Reds shut out for 6 innings, and only 1 hit against Jim Kaat explode here in the home 7th with 2 singles, 2 walks, and a tainted triple by Cesar Geronimo. 1-2. Cincinnati fans now begin to sense it, begin to feel the National League pennant. Thirty-year-old Mike Lum, the batter. Geronimo at third. Left field. Tolan back. He's got it. So Bobby Tolan, with a one-handed catch, at least keeps the score 4-3. So after 7 complete innings, a 4-run rally by the Reds, with Cincinnati 4, Philadelphia 3. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
We're going to have to do a cesarean.
Four couples face the birth of their first child. An all-star cast in a very special movie about the miracle of life, showing an actual birth, having babies. Due to mature subject matter, parental discretion is advised.
Sunday at 9, 8 Central to Mountain on ABC.
Getting ready. Always have to think of tomorrow and the day after. The things we have now should last longer. Besides, there'll be more needs for more people, right? The same with energy. We have to think and plan ahead. I know we've got to have power, and we have to make sure we have all we need when we need it. I'm a customer of Niagara Mohawk. I'm building here. I'm planning my life here in upstate New York. So it's important for me to know that research is taking place and that there's a constant search for better and more economical means of providing electricity. Those answers will come. I'm Reggie McKenzie, a member of the Buffalo Bills Electric Company. You can see, power is my business too. We've got to keep the power turned on.
Three persons have died in Pittsburgh after receiving the swine flu vaccine. And authorities everywhere are rechecking their programs. Details at 6:30 on Newswatch 13.
In-depth reports, another good reason to watch.
As we see Rollins Jackson Eastwick III, let's have a listen and see what Raleigh had to say.
Yeah, one main thing that I rely on, John, is if a guy's going to say, it's late innings, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and John's catching, we've got a pinch hitter coming up. And like last year, it happened a few times, but you need to be reminded. And I'll say, John, what do you think we ought to throw this hitter? And I'll say, throw your fastball. He can't hit your fastball. I think, well, great, that makes me feel good, and it gives me a lot of confidence. And that's one thing John does, is instill a lot of confidence in young pitchers, which is a thing I know he realizes he has to do, and he does it well.
All right, to carry us along the way to see whether the Reds win the National League pennant or the Phillies stay alive, here's Al Michaels.
All right, Warner, Eastwick had his problems on Saturday night, gave up 2 runs, but threw well in the Reds' victory. Dick Allen to lead off, and the first pitch is high, ball 1. Allen, Johnstone, and Boone in the 8th inning. Philadelphia trailing 4-3, seeing a 3-0 lead evaporate in the 7th inning. In there, and the count is 1-1. Eastwick this season against Philadelphia 1-2, but pitched well, allowed only 4 earned runs in 14 innings. A late swing and a miss, and the count on Allen is 1-2. Phillies are really in a box now. They had the lead and they made the double switch, and now they have no more Luzinski. He came out of the game when Reed came in. Two and two. That may be academic. They've got to turn the lineup over.
They got to get all the way around to him, Al. If they do that, they'll be able to score a couple of runs.
Foul tip. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count.
The Reds have done it to them again. They've gotten them down to 6 outs and put them down a run. The Phillies, in the late innings of every ball game, have been playing catch-up baseball. And I don't know, the Reds just put 4 runs on that board so quickly. Kaat was pitching so well.
Allen fouls it away down the line and right, and the count 2-2. Phillies saw a 1-0 lead disappear in game 1, a 2-0 lead disappear in game 2, and a 3-0 lead disappear in game 3.
Right here, and it disappeared quickly. It really did. They got a couple of breaks, a couple of base on balls,
2-2 to Dick Allen. Got him swinging. So Raleigh Eastwick strikes Allen out. One away here in the 8th inning. And that'll bring up Jay Johnstone. Johnstone has singled, grounded out, and drawn a walk. Four runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Reds. 3 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for the Phillies. 1-0 the count. Eastwick, the 4th pitcher used by the Reds today. Nolan started. Groin strain came out. Sarmiento, Bourbon, and now Eastwick. Bourbon is the pitcher of record. 1-1 the count. Bob Boone to follow. Johnstone hits it, a bad hop off the seam, off Perez's shoulder and into the stands for a ground rule double. So Perez had to back up. He was eaten alive by the ball as it took a hop off the seam and off his shoulder and into the seats for a ground rule double for Johnstone. We'll see it again on the replay.
AstroTurf can be very tough to feel at certain times. It's put down in sections, and there are seams out there, and the ball's hitting a certain seam. It'll take a funny carom. I've never seen a ball hit a first baseman in that position and then go into the stands. You see it once in a while in the outfield, a ball will hit and then go in, but it's the first time I've seen it over there.
Bob Boone, the batter, after the first pitch, fouls it back. Boone has flied out twice and fouled out. In the series, he is 2 for 7. 4-3 Cincinnati. 8th inning, 1 down. Tying run, Johnstone at second. In the dirt and away from bench, and Johnstone will go to third.
2 breaks in a row, Al. Now, that's something the Phillies were not getting the first couple of games. Here they are down the run. All of a sudden, boom, a ball bounces into the stands. They get a man at second base. The ball gets away from Johnny Bench. Boom, he's down at third base with 1 out. A chance for Bob Boone to hit a sacrifice fly. Get him tied up in the ball game again. Took the ball hit down in front of John. Came up, hit off the heel of his glove or his shoulder. Bounced off to his left. Of course, by the time he got it, Johnstone standing on third base.
Jay went to the bench, took his helmet off, put the soft cap on. Lose a little weight.
You run a little bit faster, right?
Little fleeter. 1-1. Now time called. Dave Concepcion is looking over toward the Reds bench saying, where do you want us to play? And they're going to play in. So with the lead, they're still going to play the infield in. 4-3 in the 8th inning.
I think they're going to play to win. Obviously, they're going to play to win. Sparky wants him in. He doesn't want to fool around. He tries to win it right here in the 3rd game.
Just outside. 2-1 the count on Boone. Boa waiting on deck.
Those last 2 plays have quieted the crowd down a little bit. They were really excited on every pitch that Eastwick was throwing.
And again just outside. So Raleigh just missing. He thinks he's getting squeezed. 3-1 the count.
Both Eastwick and Reed a little unhappy with some of the calls they've been getting. I never knew a pitcher to be unhappy with some of the calls he gets from. No, never happened.
Here's the 3-1 pitch to Bob Boone. Outside, he's on. So Boone goes to first with Johnstone the tying run at third, and Larry Boa coming up, and Boa still looking for his first hit in the series. He is 0 for 2 plus a walk today.
You know, this has set up an interesting situation here. It's a double play, of course. They get him out of the inning, and they'll still go ahead 4-3, be ahead 4-3, but the runner at the plate, Larry Boa, outstanding speed, is not going to ground into many double plays because of that speed.
That's Will McInerney throwing in the bullpen back of Eastwick. The Phillies may go to a pinch runner here. And they do. It'll be Terry Harmon who comes in to pinch run for Bob Boone. So Harmon goes to first base. Terry aboard there, held on by Tony Perez. Now the Reds infield looking over and saying, where do you want us? And Sparky says, double play depth.
Sparky's right up in front of the dugout directing traffic. He's telling his infielders where he wants them to play, what they're going to do, how they're going to go for the double play on certain balls. They may go home if the ball is not hit sharply.
Larry Boa looks at the strike. 0-1 the count. Anderson in the Reds dugout. Boa loops it to shallow left field. Foster comes on, but it falls in and gets behind him and into foul territory. That will tie the game, send Harmon to third, and Boa has a looping double. So a couple of soft lines to left field have been the big plays in this one.
Well, the worm has turned inside of 10 minutes here for both teams. There's Sparky. He's not very happy with the situation, but here's a replay of it. There he just punches the ball down the left field line, and it looks like Foster might have a play at the ball. If he does catch it, if he were to get in there and catch it, Johnstone would have been unable to score because he's not that far from home base. Ball gets away from George. It's the same thing that happened to Bobby Tolan in the left field for the Phillies on Geronimo's ball.
Now Tolan will come up. Before he does, he and Billy DeMars get together. With one out, Ozark Tolan, and there's McInerney in the bullpen again. Will, a left-hander, had a great rookie year last year, really tailed off and had his problems this season. They're going to walk Tolan now, put Bobby aboard, and go to work on the top of the order. So what Anderson wants to do is keep Eastwick in the game and have him face the right-handed batters as opposed to bringing McInerney in here to face just one man and then seeing the top of the order, which is right-handed, Cash, Maddox, and Smith.
Cash, of course, did ground into a double play in the fifth inning. That was after the drop pop-up by Perez and Bench, and then Kaat got a base hit. Kind of snuffed out a rally, and, of course, Sparky would love to see another double play here.
All right, one thing to keep in mind, this is the fourth time the Phillies have loaded the bases in the 3 games. They have never scored when they've loaded the bases. And, of course, now both Kaat and Nolan are off the hook. It's Eastwick against Reed.
Phillies loaded the bases in the 6th inning, and then Boone flied out on Sarmiento's first pitch. Bases loaded, 8th inning, a 4-4 tie. 1 down. Dave Cash 1 for 3 today, 4 for 13 in the series. Infield double play depth. In there, 0-1.
He was taking all the way right there. Going to try and get ahead so he can get his pitch, I think. Little Mike Schmidt philosophy.
Eastwick, strike 1 pitch. Breaking ball is fouled back, and the count 0-2. Bases loaded. The Phillies have Terry Harmon at third, Larry Boa at second, Bobby Tolan at first. 1 down, a 4-4 tie in the 8th inning. Up high, 1-2 the count. On deck is Gary Maddox. Phils have out-hit the Reds 10-4 today. Led 1-0, 3-0, then trailed 4-3, and now they've tied it in the 8th. Up and in, and the count is 2-2.
One thing the pitcher does not want to do here, Alan, we've talked about it before today, is go to 3-2. The hitter is at a distinct advantage if that situation is going to happen. He's got to go right after it. He's got a hitter up there, Dave Cash, who is very difficult to strike out.
Outfield is shading Cash toward right.
I got to guess that he's going to go with his fastball. Best pitch here.
Outside, ball 3, 3-2. Jim Kaat leading the cheering section. 3 balls, 2 strikes, the count on Cash. 1 down in the 8th. Foul back, just got a piece of it. 3-2.
And once again, he almost struck out the hardest man in baseball to fan. Struck out only 13 times all year.
A look toward third, and the 3-2 to Cash is punched foul off to the right. If there's a 4th game, we'll have it for you on ABC tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. The probables, Don Gullett, Steve Carlton in the matchup of game number 1. Tonight at 8 o'clock, game 3 from Yankee Stadium, American League. Yanks Royals. 3-2 delivery is hit in the air to right field and deep enough to score a run. Griffey will make the catch. Harmon is tagging. The throw will go to third, and Morgan cuts the throw off, so it's 5-4 Philadelphia.
Well, I tell you, Al, you really got to hand it to the Phils. They were could have really been down in the dumps. You saw that picture of that same dugout just about 10 minutes ago was really in bad shape. Johnstone hits that ball. They get a break. They get a break on the ball down the left field line, and they battle back. That's a sign of an excellent, outstanding ball club. They've got a lot of guts and a lot of pride. They didn't say die over there.
Now Larry Shepard going to the mound. The Reds pitching coach makes another visit. That's Bobby Tolan, who drew the intentional walk at first base. Eastwick staggered on Saturday night. In the bullpen now, the right-hander is rookie Santo Alcala. McInerney is still throwing. Will, the left-hander. Shepard out for a brief visit with Eastwick. Eastwick on Saturday night was not quite a mystery to anybody. Gave up a couple of runs, but escaped. Reds had a big lead going into the ninth inning and won it 6-3. Phil's leading 5-4. Runners at first and third with 2 down. Gary Maddox, they're going to appeal now at second base. Eastwick has to back off first. Morgan telling him, you've got to back off now, throw. They're going to appeal it. Boa left too soon? No. So they lose the appeal. Tolan off to his lead at first. Runner at third is Boa. 2 down. And the first pitch to Maddox is a swing and a miss. Gary Maddox, 1 for 4. He doubled in the 7th inning to drive in the Phillies' second run. He is 3 for 12 in the playoffs. Popped up. Should end the inning. Cesar Geronimo coming on. And the side is retired. But the Phillies have the lead again. They come up with 2 runs. A couple of hits. And lead 2. Go to the bottom of the 8th. It is 5-4 Philadelphia.
Take a look at who takes Geritol.
I'm Carolyn Rose. This is my husband, Pete.
Pete Rose, the baseball player.
When your husband's an athlete, you think a lot about good health, and that includes your own. So I try to get enough exercise and rest.
And you take Geritol every day.
Geritol, to be sure you get enough iron and some very important vitamins. Geritol.
Geritol every day.
And now you can get special savings on Geritol at stores where you shop. Try Geritol soon and save.
I know, you're not getting a terrific shave from your electric razor. Maybe there's nothing wrong with your razor. Maybe there's something wrong with your face. Your beard is just laying there. Make it stand up with this. Williams Electric Shave. Look, every leading razor manufacturer tells you, use a pre-shave. Most people use electric shave. It gets your beard to stand up, so your razor shaves closer and with less irritation. Williams Electric Shave makes your beard stand up, makes your razor shave better.
Fans, be a World Series expert by knowing the history and the events that make this America's top sport attraction. It's all here in the official 1976 World Series program, the one that's sold at the series. Read about how the series began, the memorable moments, and the pennant winners, highlighted with plenty of color photos. It's at selected newsstands, or send a check or money order for $250 to World Series program, Post Office Box 666, San Francisco, California, 94101.
The preceding a message on behalf of Major League Baseball. Pete Rose to lead off, fouls it away here in the 8th inning. Now the Phillies make some changes. The new catcher is Johnny Oates. Bob Boone went out for the pinch runner. They send Jerry Martin in to play left field, take Dick Allen out of the game. There is Martin. And send Bobby Tolan over to first base. Rose loops it down the line in left field. That's a base hit. Martin will try to hold him to 1 and does. So Rose has a single to lead off the 8th. Boy, they're zeroing in on that spot.
It's like a bomb site out there. Everybody seems to be popping the ball right over the third baseman's head. Mike Schmidt, of course, and Pete Rose of Cincinnati down in that little corner. And I don't know if it's sun or what it is down there. People are not having, they are having a little bit of trouble feeling the ball down there.
Ken Griffey is the batter. Tying run, Rose at first and nobody out. 5-4 Phillies. Griffey takes high from Reed. Ball 1. 1-0.
Phillies did battle back. They're 5-4. They're ahead now. They've out hit the Reds 10-5 today. That's Pete Rose's first hit of the day.
Popped up and playable in foul ground for Mike Schmidt. One down. In the Philadelphia bullpen, big right-hander Wayne Twitchell is throwing. Joe Morgan coming up. Oates going to visit the mound. Morgan facing Kaat 3 times today. There's Twitchell in the bullpen. Morgan 0 for 2 plus a walk. Phillies got a run in the 4th, 2 in the 7th. The Reds came storming back with 4 to take the lead. And then the Phillies came back with 2 to retake the lead in the 8th. Bottom of the 8th inning, Rose at first base. Morgan looks at a strike. Inside part, Morgan says, come on.
I don't think he believes it, does he? Little Joe's still looking for his first hit, even though during the season, regular season, he had 360 against Philly pitching.
Fouled away. He's without a hit in this series, but he's walked 6 times.
6 base on balls for little Joe. That's not in the book. You don't want to walk that little guy either.
5-4 Philadelphia. Rose at first base, 1 away. Ron Reed working in relief of Kaat. Fooled him. Morgan swinging very late, and down he goes. Big strikeout. So 2 down now, and Tony Perez, the batter. Perez did not have a hit in either of the first 2 games. Has 2 today, including a base hit to drive in Cincinnati's first run in the 7th inning. Rose at first, 2 down, 5-4 Philadelphia in the 8th. 1-0. Nice stop by Oates. Outfield swung around toward right. They give him the gap, though, in left center. Maddox shading him well over toward right. Tolan holding Rose aboard.
There's a good shot at Tony Perez. Doggy, as he's called, in the Cincinnati locker room.
Change in there, 1-1.
Wow, that was a surprise, huh? A change to Perez.
Surprised he didn't swing. They must have been totally fooled. Of course, Reed was behind him in the count, and that's a good situation, really, for a changeup when you're behind. George Foster on deck.
Swing and a miss at a fastball, and the count is 1-2.
This is Mr. Tough in the late innings, Tony Perez. You get men in scoring position, men on base. He is really tough in the late innings of a ball game.
Reed ready, and checking Rose.
Pete is not really a threat to steal. I think he stole 9 bases this year. Last year, he didn't steal any. He's a very good base runner, very aggressive base runner, but not a great base stealer.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count. Hits the deep left field. Jerry Martin got a very late start, but gets back and has room and makes the catch. Took Martin just a moment to find it. He looked up and was stationary and went back late, but had time as it stays in. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Go to the 9th, 5-4 Phillies.
Well, along came a spider. Well, mine's a 2 plus 2. Chevy, Chevy. Along came a spider. Mine's a 2 plus 2. Chevy, Chevy. Mine's been the world beater. How dramatic, oh, my sweeter spider. Along came a spider. Mine's a 2 plus 2.
Along came a Monza Spider from Chevrolet. See what that does for your curves and waves.
Today, millions of people are protecting their cars like a trooper. With Texaco's Haviland Super Premium Motor Oil, tested in more than 40 state trooper cars for over 2 million miles. Of the engines inspected, there were no signs of unusual wear.
And remember, with Haviland's formulation, you don't have to buy any extra motor oil additives. It provides all the protection a car's engine needs.
Get Haviland Super Premium and protect your car like a trooper.
On to the 9th inning. Seesaw ball game. The Phillies saw a 3-0 lead disappear. Reds took the lead with 4 in the 7th. Phillies came back with 2 in the 8th. They lead as we go to the 9th inning. The Phillies Here in the ninth, Mike Schmidt to lead off facing Raleigh Eastwick. When the Reds come up now in the bottom of the ninth inning to look ahead, it will be the 5, 6, and 7 spots. Foster, Bench, and Concepcion, 3 right-handed batters to face Ron Reed as Danny Ozark goes over the lineup card up on the wall in the dugout.
You know, Mike's really had a big day, Al. A couple of doubles and a single, 3 for 4. And the piece you did with him on the pre-game show before we started about the discipline at the plate, waiting for a good pitch to hit. He really got his head together, I think, for this ball game.
Popped up, down the line in left field, might stay playable. Concepcion into the bullpen with Foster, and Concepcion makes the catch. On the mound in the pen. Fine play.
That's the first time he swung at first pitch all day. Something he didn't do. Of course, he's had a big day. Graduate of Ohio University, Mike Smith. There's Eastwick. Got 1 out here, the top of the ninth.
Ron Reed is the batter. When Reed came into the game, they put him into the 4 spot. So he's the cleanup hitter right now with Jerry Martin waiting on deck.
Not a bad hitter, Al. Good athlete. Former pro basketball player.
Couple of years with the Pistons. 0-1 the count. 1 out, top of the ninth inning. 5-4, Philadelphia. Just missing. 1-1. Smith's had a good day. Mike, 3 hits today. Went after a bad pitch and didn't get it, and the count is 1-2. Ron Reed hit 167 this season. 4 for 24. It's slowly down to Rose. Easy play for Pete. 2 down. So Reed gone. Smith looking casual in the Philly dugout.
At this point, I think he's got to be thinking about 3 more outs. He's a happy guy today. There's Jerry Martin.
He's the kind of guy that's probably thinking, I hope I get 3 ground balls in the bottom of the ninth inning. I want to take care of it.
He'd love to have it. I think he looked very determined and really with it this morning on the field during batting practice.
Jerry Martin comes up for the first time in the series, ball 1. Martin, most of the year, was Luzinski's caddy. He'd come in to run for Greg if Greg would get on late in the game and then stay in the game because he's a better outfielder. That's why he came on defensively after the Phillies had the lead back in the top of the 8th inning. Jerry this season at 248. Hit down to Rose, who backs up and backhands it. 1 bounce throw. Perez can't handle it. So Martin gets on. Pete Rose had to back up and backhand the ball. Low throw was there, but Perez couldn't scoop it out.
If the Reds do have one weak link on that baseball field, it's probably Pete Rose's arm. He's got some age on it. He's played a lot of positions, thrown a lot of baseballs. Not too bad of a knock with a ball club like this. Your right arm maybe being the one sore spot.
So Martin is on. Rose is charged with an error. That's the second made by the Reds today. And it brings up Jay Johnstone. Johnstone, 2 for 3, plus a walk. Got the 2-run 8th inning rally started with a ground rule double off Perez's shoulder, which bounced into the seats. 1-0 the count.
The hitter's thoughts now at this point. Now he knows he's got a runner at first with good speed. He's not going to bunt. He can't get the bunt down. You've got 2 outs. He's got to try and hit the ball hard. Hit a double down the line. Hit a double in the gap. They need an insurance run right now. That'd be beautiful on the board for him going to the bottom of the 9th inning. He can't try and hit a single. He's got to try to go for the extra base hit here. Try and get the insurance run. Jay Johnstone at the plate. 1-1 the count.
Martin at first base. Johnstone whacks it foul into the seats. Back of third, and the count is 1-2. And Sparky Anderson and Ted Klazuski in the foreground. Sparky's hair is white from all of the playoff pressure over the years, huh? 2-2. He used to dye it. He looks a lot better now. I like it this way. Sparky was white when he was 4.
Never looks too nervous either, does he? Always got his head in the game. Got a few thoughts in his mind right there, doesn't he?
2-2 on Johnstone. Martin is going, and Johnstone rolls one toward the middle, and by Morgan and toward the gap. That may score a run. Geronimo knocks it down, and it will score Martin. Johnstone is on his way to third, and Geronimo's throw is not in time. So Johnstone hits a sharp grounder by Morgan with Martin going, winds up at third, and the Phillies have a 6-4 lead. Jay Johnstone has his third hit of the day. He is now 7 for 9 in the series. It's scored as a triple, so Johnstone has a single, a double, and a triple.
On this play, I think you'll see Morgan for an instant took his eye off the ball to look at Martin. Johnstone 7 for 9 in the series.
That ball will really move across that AstroTurf. Now, if that were normal grass, I doubt very much if the runner had been able to score, because it would have died before it got all the way out there to right center. But that's the aspect of playing on an artificial surface. The ball would travel much farther.
Batter is Johnny Oates, who hits a chopper down to Morgan. Easy play. This will end the inning, but the Phillies have some insurance. They get a run, a hit. Reds make an error, a big one, and a man left on. It's 6-4. Philadelphia going to the bottom of the ninth inning. Back with more from Riverfront Stadium after this word from our local station.
Watch the ABC Evening News with Harry Reasoner and Barbara Walters every weeknight.
Did you know that you can earn 5.5% interest in State Bank of Albany's investment passbook account? Simply make an initial deposit of $500 and leave it on deposit for at least one full quarter. Withdraw without penalty anytime during the first 10 days of each quarter or by giving us 90 days notice. Furthermore, you can add to your account anytime with deposits of $25 or more. We call this our Nifty 550 account. Let's talk.
The ABC News at 6. It's the best news you'll get all day.
Al Michaels with Tom Seaver, Warner Wolf at Riverfront Stadium. 6 runs, 11 hits, and no errors for the Phillies. 4 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors for the Reds. So Reed will try to hold him in check. The Phillies defensively in the bottom of the ninth, Reed with Oates, the infield of Tolan, Cash, Boa, and Schmidt. The outfield left to right of Martin, Maddox, and Johnstone. Now the Reds will send up 3 right-handed batters in the bottom of the ninth inning. It'll be Foster, Bench, and Concepcion. Tonight at 8 o'clock, Game 3, Andy Hassler will be on the mound for Kansas City. Doc Ellis will pitch for the Yankees. That series even at a game apiece. 8 o'clock Eastern time on ABC tonight. If the Phillies hold on here, we are back tomorrow. And you will see Game 4 tomorrow night at 8 o'clock from Riverfront Stadium. Probables, Don Gullett, Steve Carlton. George Foster in the bottom of the ninth inning. Foster has popped out, flied out, and hit a sacrifice fly. Foster is 1 for 11 in the playoffs. The one a home run on Saturday. He's taking and looks at a strike, 0-1.
That's a very big run the Phils picked up there, Al. They're set up 5-4, 6-4. Cincinnati needs base runners now.
Reed letting up and missing, and the count is 1-1. Crowd today is 55,047.
If Reed gets in trouble, they've got double barrel action down in the bullpen. Tug McGraw.
Can't check in time. Went after a pitch away. Good pitch by Reed, fooling Foster. 1-2.
Tug McGraw and Larry Christensen throwing in the bullpen for the Phillies, if needed.
Hit foul off to the right.
Cincinnati's got a couple people going in their bullpen.
McGraw is leaving the bullpen now, and Tommy Underwood starts to throw, a left-hander. That's Underwood alongside Christensen. And in the bullpen for the Reds, Jack Billingham, the right-hander, along with Will McEnany. Foster hits a drive to deep left field, and she'll be gone. George Foster hits a 1-2 pitch over the wall and left, and it's 6-5.
George Foster has only 2 hits in the whole series. He's 2 for 12, both hits home runs.
So Reed gets ahead on the count and loses him. Does he ever? Now Gene Garber gets up in the bullpen. Garber and Underwood.
Watch George Foster again. Here's your leading RBI man in the National League. 100. There it goes. Beautiful.
Great extension of his arms, just raw power. He hit that ball in the seats in the middle deck out there.
Johnny Bench takes outside, ball one. Bench, 4 years ago, almost to the day, came up with nobody out, bottom of the ninth inning, and homered to tie Game 5 against Pittsburgh. Foul ground. Smith goes over and has no play. Back in about 5 rows.
You ever notice in a baseball game, when a player hits a home run, the next batter, if he hits the ball in the air anywhere in the outfield, the natural reaction is for the fans to let loose with a loud cheer. It's like a double instinct following the home run.
Especially on their home field, sure.
They're braced for an explosion here. 6-5 in the ninth inning. Bench a full rip. Foul tipping it, and the count is 1-2. On deck is Concepcion. So a big run. The run scored in the top of the ninth inning after Rose made the error on Martin's ball. Johnstone a triple, and that's the difference in the game. Anderson looks on, and the 1-2 pitch to Johnny Bench is chopped foul. 1-2. That man is still in very good shape, of course, even if the Phillies hold on.
He'd like to find one more run right now, wouldn't
You betcha. Yeah, he doesn't want to prolong it. I mean, Sparky likes the theater, but
enough's enough.
Keep the drama there. It's a deep center field. Barry Maddox goes all the way back at the wall. Gone! It's a home run to tie the game. It is 6-6.
Look at that bench. Look at that.
Get ready right now. Once again, the home run by Bench with 2 strikes.
Looks like the same kind of pitch that Foster hit out right down the middle. Just a good turn, good full extension of his arms. That ball was way out of here.
Now Ozark goes to the mound. All he was waiting for was for Garber to get ready in the bullpen. So Reed gives up back-to-back homers in the ninth. Foster and Bench. Concepcion will be coming up. And Ozark waiting for the signal that Garber is ready and now gets it. And Garber will be coming in. So Reed leaves. Gave up 4 runs in 2+ innings.
Philadelphia.
Garber makes his way in from the bullpen. Back with more from Riverfront in just a minute.
Ask a friend about Firestone, Firestone, Firestone.
I asked a friend about Firestone. I asked my mother-in-law about Firestone. She called me one day and she said, "Husband, I'm getting ready to make a change." I thought she was talking about me. And she said, "No, I'll need tires." I said, "Well, mother-in-law," I said, "look, I'm watching a ball game." I said, "Hey, it's Firestone. Get Firestone."
Firestone.
This Mercedes was last brought into this country in 1965. This Mini Cooper, 1967. This Porsche 356, 1965. And yet, Fram still makes oil and air filters to protect all of them and the newer models. In fact, Fram makes filters for just about any imported car. Plus, of course, the rare and unusual creature that I prefer to drive. It's called a Chevrolet.
Gene Garber comes in to pitch. Garber 9-3 with a 2.81 ERA during the regular season. And the Philly fans have to be thinking he's coming in one batter too late, maybe.
It's got to be on their mind, Al. You're talking about two men that seem to have a sense for the dramatic. George Foster, boom, a home run, followed by Johnny Bench. Here's two fine baseball teams. You see a shot of the packed house here at Riverfront Stadium. The Phillies have scored 5 runs in the last 3 innings. The Reds have scored 6 runs in the last 3 innings. And they've still got 3 outs to go here in the bottom of the 9th. 2 runs with nobody out in the bottom of the 9th to tie the game at 6-6. Garber has his work cut out for him, no question. Concepcion to be his first opponent.
And then Geronimo. And then they're down to the pitcher's spot.
Listen to that crowd. That's amazing. This momentum has just gone back and forth from one dugout to the other.
Dave Concepcion is the batter. Concepcion is 0 for 3. In the series, he has 1 hit and 9 trips. Gene Garber working from the extreme first base side of the rubber. Base hit. The pennant-winning run is at first. The Reds are just incredible. You get them down, you can't get them out, though. They get up off the deck time after time after time. 2 years in a row. Numerous come-from-behind victories. They were down 10-1 one day in Chicago this season. Won the game.
2 home runs here to tie the ball game. A game that I pitched against the Reds in 1973. We opened the series here. I had them down 1-0 going in the 7th inning. Home run by Pete Rose. Had them 1-1. The score was tied going in the 9th inning. The man who has already hit a home run here in the bottom of this 9th inning, Johnny Bench, pulled a fastball of mine down the left field line. The Reds won that opening game 2-1. Here comes Danny Ozark again.
He's going to bring in Tommy Underwood. Underwood will make his first appearance in this series with Geronimo coming up in a bunt situation. The pennant at first base for the Reds, Dave Concepcion. And Underwood, who has not appeared in the playoffs, comes on here in the 9th inning. This game will run past 6 o'clock Eastern time, so we will be joining the local news on our various stations at the conclusion of this one. Dramatic game in Cincinnati. We'll be joining the news, except on the West Coast. Seesaw game as the Phillies took a 1-0 lead in the 4th, picked up 2 in the 7th to make it 3-0. The Reds came back with 4 in the bottom of the 7th to take the lead. The Phillies got 2 in the 8th, 1 more in the 9th to lead 6-4. And here in the bottom of the 9th inning, back-to-back homers by Foster and Bench. And now a single by Dave Concepcion. So Tom Underwood comes in to pitch with Cesar Geronimo to remain in, a left-handed batter, no doubt to bunt. Underwood 10-5. Oh,
I just can't believe it. They are putting on some show in this ballpark. It is really something. You wonder why a town that doesn't have 1 million people, Cincinnati, can draw 2.5 million people in here for a season.
Doesn't have 500,000 people.
They have really put on a great show.
55,047, the crowd at Riverfront Stadium today. A 6-6 tie in the bottom of the 9th inning. Tommy Underwood loosening up. Underwood, a starter most of the season. He's appeared in relief 8 times, started 25.
Just one comment about Underwood. So far, he has been strictly a hometown pitcher. In Philadelphia the last 2 years, he's won 20 and lost only 4. However, on the road, Underwood has won only 4 and lost 14 the last 2 years.
Well, if he's going to win this one, they're going to have to go to extra innings because that man down there at first base, Dave Concepcion, doesn't belong to him.
Cesar Geronimo up in a bunt situation. On deck is Bob Bailey to bat for Raleigh Eastwick. Underwood backs off.
Underwood does not have a good move to first base. Does not have an outstanding move to first base, but he has a quick delivery to home plate.
Geronimo squares, takes low for ball one. 1-0 the count. Wayne Twitchell up in the Philadelphia bullpen. Billingham and McInerney in the Cincinnati pen. Geronimo tries to bunt, pitches high. 2-0 the count. Lets it go by low, ball 3. 3-0. So Underwood has really dug himself a hole now.
Boy, when it rains, it pours. Doesn't it? 2 home runs, a base hit. Now he goes 3-0 on Geronimo at the plate trying to sacrifice. And he's not even close. That last pitch way down low. Geronimo's got to be taking here.
He does. Ball 4. Winning run at second. Now Ed Armbruster will come up. They had Bailey on deck. Had Geronimo been able to sacrifice, they would have sent up Bailey, but now in another bunting situation, they'll send up Armbruster. Ozark will go to the mound. He's got Twitchell, a right-hander, in the bullpen, and he'll gather the infield in. But Broa was up throwing before. Not that he's going to bring in a left-handed pitcher now. There's Twitchell in the bullpen, a right-hander. Tug was throwing and then sort of shook his head, came back to the dugout like something was wrong.
Could be his shoulder. Maybe something mechanically is wrong.
That's why I'm beginning to think right now that if Ozark wants a left-hander, he's got to stay with Underwood because he'd rather have a left-hander in to face Rose. He'd rather have Pete hit from the right side and also Griffey if they get that far. So if he goes to Twitchell, he might put himself in a box.
The situation now, no outs. Armbruster's got to be up there bunting. They're trying to get the runners at second and third. And Rose will come up. They're going to walk Rose intentionally. And then you've got to pitch to Griffey and Morgan, who are both left-hand hitters.
Exactly.
But this is a bunt situation.
Ed Armbruster waiting at the plate. Nobody out. Winning run at second. Ball 1. 1-0.
National League pennant for the Cincinnati Reds is down at second base. Dave Concepcion. All they got to do is get him down to third and around to home. They win the pennant. There he is, right there. Good speed, good base runner.
Here's the 1-0 to Armbruster. Bunted in the air and foul. And the count is 1-1.
Jay Johnstone, believe it or not, running all the way from right field. Came in behind Cesar Geronimo at first base. Had they pitched out, had Oates pitched out in that situation, they'd have picked Geronimo off by 15 feet. There goes Johnstone back to right field. He had him picked off. The play wasn't on. Obviously, Jay was doing it just on his own.
1 ball and 1 strike. Bunted toward third. Good bunt. Smith will have to make the play at first, and the pennant's at third. 1 out. So Armbruster does his job. Play goes 5-4. Cash covers. Now Rose comes up. Pete is 1 for 4. Doubtful they'll pitch to him.
He doesn't even need to have a bat up at the plate right now. They've got to set up a double play situation. I don't know how you're going to double up Ken Griffey. There's Sparky talking to Griffey right there.
About the only way you double Griffey is to get a comeback or a sharp one hopper to the mound. That's about it.
They're going to have to make the play at home plate. They certainly can't play back.
Now, of course, a man at third, so many different things can win a game. You think back to the Reds winning the pennant on a wild pitch in 1972. Oh. Almost a wild pitch there. Boy, Underwood is really rattled, and Tolan goes to the mound.
You wonder in this situation, why not bring that right fielder back around behind home plate? You can only have one man in foul territory.
Exactly. Underwood looked like he was throwing a fastball up and away.
Underwood doesn't look too upset, but obviously he's feeling the pressure, no question. Look on his face, he looks all right.
Ball 3 to Rose.
You don't think Pete would love to be able to be swinging right now,
boy.
do you, with a National League pennant on the line?
The bases are loaded. 1 out. 9th inning, a 6-6 tie. The Reds trying to wrap up the pennant. Ken Griffey, 1 for 4 today. 3 for 12 in the series. Infield has to play in. Outfield very shallow. You don't even have to be medium depth. If it's a fly ball to medium depth, forget it. It's all over. Sacrifice fly. Underwood's got to keep it down. He's got to pray for a ball hit right back to the mound. A ball and a throw to third, and Concepcion gets back in. Mike Schmidt over to cover. 1 to go.
Close play at third base. I tell you, Al, I'm shaking. There's Concepcion coming off the third base. Oates make a pretty good throw down there. Not in time. I'm shaking. This is really exciting.
1 to go the count. Little number. Tolan has to come home, and the Reds win the pennant. The Cincinnati Reds have won the pennant. Ken Griffey, a little chopper, and even had Tolan fielded it cleanly, it would have been very, very close and doubtful. So they've done it again. They're on their way to the World Series, which will start here on Saturday. 3 runs in the 9th, and it's a clean sweep again. They swept the Pirates last season. They sweep the Phillies this year, and they take it in straight sets. They win 6-2, 6-3, and 7-6.
I'll tell you what, just an absolutely incredible performance in the last 3 innings by really maybe one of the outstanding teams in the last 30 years in the National League or all of baseball. They are really an incredible baseball team.
The Cincinnati Reds filing into the clubhouse. Those of you in the East and Central time zones, stay tuned for the news. The look of dejection. And you talk about the agony of defeat. It's etched on the face of one Ollie Brown in the Philadelphia Philly dugout as they come to Cincinnati and lose Game 3, and the Reds have done it. Once again, the final score, Cincinnati 7, Philadelphia 6. The Reds win the pennant. Al Michaels for Tom Seaver, Warner Wolf. Remember, 8 o'clock tonight, Game 3 of the American League Championship Series, Kansas City to take on the New York Yankees. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. Fly the friendly skies of United, where you're the boss. The preceding a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
The secret past as a party girl.
Is that what you're trying to tell me, buddy?
Starsky and Hutch, then. The premiere of a new series.
I don't want to be responsible for a mass murder.
Robert Stack has a special police team with one goal: get the most wanted right after Starsky and Hutch.
Premieres Saturday on ABC.
Tiny mighty Moe's. Fire engine to the rescue, tiny mighty Moe's. Here's the tank, it's coming through. Tiny mighty Moe's. Just one push and off they go. Tiny mighty Moe's. Lots of things for you to do. Tiny mighty Moe's. Tiny mighty Moe's.
Tiny Mighty Moe's, all sold separately. They're from Ideal.
You run,
A new and potentially fatal controversy surrounding the government's swine flu program will have 2 reports.
Details at 6:30 on News Watch 13.
Bill Reese, another good reason to watch.
Harry Reisner, Barbara Walters, bring you the news.
Good evening. The swine flu inoculation program has been suspended in several states. It happened after 3 elderly people died in Pittsburgh yesterday, shortly after getting the vaccine. Officials are emphasizing that it may be nothing more than coincidence, without any proof that the flu vaccine caused the deaths. Barbara?
Also tonight, Howard K. Smith comments on the pitfalls of open diplomacy. President Ford admits that his remarks on Russian domination of Eastern Europe were a mistake. And there's confirmation that China has a new leader and an unconfirmed report that Mao Zedong's widow may be in jail. Harry?
One important fact to keep in mind in the next few minutes is this. No doctor or health official anywhere has said that there is any connection between swine flu shots and the 3 people who died in Pittsburgh. All 3 were over 70. All 3 had heart trouble. But all 3 died shortly after the flu shot. As a result, the inoculation program has been suspended in Pennsylvania's Allegheny County and also in a number of other states. Bettina Gregory flew to Pittsburgh and filed this report.
The 3 elderly victims all got their swine flu shots within an hour of each other at this clinic. Autopsy reports show 71-year-old Charles Gabbing had had heart attacks. So had 74-year-old Ella Michael, and she had chronic lung disease, too. 75-year-old Julia Bucci had heart disease as well, but the investigation hasn't been completed.
We know why they died. The question that we do not have the answer to as yet is whether the immunizations contributed in some fashion, directly or indirectly, to their collapse and death at the particular time that they occurred.
To be safe, officials closed down all 13 clinics giving the swine flu vaccinations in Allegheny County, though they believe the vaccination program had built-in safeguards.
Take every precaution. We keep these people for 15 minutes after they've been immunized at the clinic so we can watch them. And I really don't believe that the vaccination had anything to do with their death. If I'm going to err, I feel that it's necessary for me to err on the side of safety. And this is the reason why I closed the clinics today until we can get the complete information on these people's deaths.
Investigators from the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta say there's no cause for panic. The medical consensus is that the swine flu shots did not directly cause these 3 deaths, but more tests are being made to find out if the shots were a contributing factor. Bettina Gregory, ABC News, Pittsburgh.
This is Jules Bergman. No one fully understands why or how it happened. This much we do know. What happened is unprecedented in the history of American inoculation. Never before have 3 people had a fatal reaction, if that's what it was, in so short a time after getting their shots in the same hour at the same center. Too short a time for any known disease to incubate. Specialists we spoke to have 2 theories. One, incredible coincidence. Not so incredible, perhaps, when you have 3 elderly people, all with a history of heart and lung disorders. 2, severe allergic reaction due to hypersensitivity. Ironically, it was this very same high-risk group, those with heart and lung ailments, that doctors wanted to immunize first to protect them from influenza.
Why so much concern about the high-risk group? Because it's the high-risk group that is prone to have the serious complications of severe pneumonia and die of influenza. And if they could be protected early enough, then the chances are they will not get influenza, and these fatalities can be prevented.
In Atlanta.
From the day that President Ford first announced the massive swine flu inoculation program, the project has been plagued with doubts and questions. Science editor Jules Bergman is here in our studio to answer some of the questions. Jules, how do we know that the vaccine is safe, and how extensively has it been tested?
It was tested before approved by the government, Barbara, on 5,400 adult volunteers, and there were no adverse reactions of any substance among them. So it really is safe as far as known.
Jules, as far as I know, there was 1 outbreak, 1 death, 1 location. Why do we assume there might be an epidemic?
Because this country is now epidemic fearful, if you will. The virologists saw this happen and feared that if 500,000 died in 1918, despite the fact that they didn't have antibiotics and modern drugs then, 1 million could die now because our population has doubled. So they said, let's go make ourselves a vaccine. Let's not take the chance. And that's how it began. And it worked its way up HEW in various departments to the White House.
Jules, would you take this vaccine yourself? Would you have it given to your mother?
I intend to, and I would give it to my mother.
Well, why take the chance, though? Suppose you don't take it.
There is a chance, very small, of a fatal reaction. I'm not trying to be ironic after what our story was today. More likely, why subject yourself to high fever for a week if indeed an epidemic breaks out? We don't know that it will.
Now, you've said you'd go ahead and take the shot, but what do you think will happen in the country now? What's the future of the inoculation program?
I suspect big troubles. 5 states have already suspended it. More may act soon. The federal government now has to convince the states to start their programs again. States that in many cases are balking. So I think the swine flu program is probably in very deep trouble.
Thank you, Jules.
In the small community of Katanning, Pennsylvania, doctors are trying to find out why 100 women who work on the all-female assembly line of an electronics plant have become ill. The women have complained of nausea, headaches, and stomach pains. Some have had trouble breathing. The same thing happened to about 40 women at the plant 2 weeks ago. Right now, while the illness is being investigated, all the women at the plant have been sent home.
President Ford today signed a bill that is aimed at protecting all of us from dangerous chemicals and substances which might be poisonous. The new law authorizes the federal government to require that manufacturers test all potentially dangerous chemicals for their possible effects on health before those products ever reach the consumer.
I'm a housewife and a working mother, and I take Geritol. You see, with the kind of day I put in, I have to take really good care of my health. So I try to get my rest and exercise, and I take Geritol every morning.
Geritol, to be sure you get enough iron and some very important vitamins.
I do a lot for my husband and for my children. Geritol is one thing I do for myself.
Now you can get special savings on Geritol at stores where you shop. Try Geritol soon and save.
Those terrible loose spots, gaps that can loosen dentures. For denture wearers, loose spots can get in the way of laughing, in the way of eating, in the way of talking. Now find help with Fixodent, a plastic cream discovery that's revolutionized denture holding. Fixodent spreads so smoothly, so evenly, forms such a strong overall hold it helps eliminate loose spots. Laugh, eat, talk with more security. Fixodent helps eliminate loose spots.
It was 1 week ago tomorrow night that President Ford made his goof about Russian domination of Eastern Europe. He's been explaining what he really meant ever since. Tom Jarrell reports that the president began the day with one more explanation before a group with a very special interest in what he originally said.
Leaders of American ethnic groups with ties in Eastern Europe assembled at the White House to hear President Ford admit he made a mistake. Mr. Ford told them the countries of Eastern Europe, of course, are dominated by the Soviet Union. The representatives didn't need much persuasion because they basically supported the Ford candidacy before they arrived. And they stepped before the cameras with a chorus of forgiveness.
As far as I personally am concerned, the president did admit his mistake, and the case is closed.
They minimized the political damage.
I think that the president's statement may have caused a temporary slowdown in the ethnic inroads he was making. But I feel that the record that he set straight today is going to put him back on the track.
The only disparaging words were directed toward Jimmy Carter.
We are very much afraid of Governor Carter, just as we were afraid of Senator McGovern.
And toward Henry Kissinger.
He made many statements denouncing human rights violations in South Africa, Rhodesia, Chile. But at no time you have ever made any statement denouncing any human rights violations, which are much more severe in Eastern European countries.
After trying to mend his fences, Mr. Ford traveled to New York City to attempt to make some political inroads into solid Democratic territory. He promised a predominantly Jewish crowd outside a high school he would go to Israel in the cause of peace. But he was reminded of a decline in the trend of Jewish immigration from the Soviet Union by a small but vocal demonstration chanting, "Save Soviet Jewry." Tom Jarrell, ABC News, with the Ford campaign in New York.
Jimmy Carter spent the day at home in Plains, Georgia. He issued a statement this morning urging the president to act immediately to ensure that farmers get higher prices for wheat. On another subject, Carter complained that it's been a month since congressional investigators uncovered fraud and waste in the Medicaid program, and nothing's been done about it.
An appeals court in Washington today upheld the Watergate conspiracy convictions of former Attorney General John Mitchell, former White House Chief of Staff H.R. Haldeman, and Richard Nixon's Chief Domestic Advisor John Ehrlichman. The decision will be appealed to the Supreme Court. The appeals court threw out the conviction of Robert Mardian, who was found guilty with the other three in January 1975. The court said he should have been tried alone and ordered a new trial. The Supreme Court ruled today in effect that when the Federal Communications Commission changed its equal time rules to allow the presidential broadcast debates, it acted properly. The court today turned down a series of appeals against the FCC ruling.
They're down to the final hours of counting the votes by Ford auto workers in the nationwide strike, and union officials say it's very close. Most assembly line workers have voted for the proposed new contract, but many skilled workers are voting against it. We'll know later tonight or tomorrow if the Ford strike is over or not. Stock prices fell again today in fairly active trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost about 8.5 points to close at 932.35. Standard & Poor's Index was down 0.83. The American Stock Exchange Index closed down 0.76.
Coffee announces the end of coffee waste. Introducing the new Mr. Coffee with its exclusive coffee saver, so you don't waste coffee by making extra. 10 cups to 2, Coffee Saver automatically raises the grounds to the perfect brewing height, even for just 2 cups. You get great taste without waste. So end coffee waste. Incredible new Mr. Coffee with Coffee Saver. Great coffee taste without coffee waste.
More than 60 million people entrust their hard-earned savings to savings and loan associations, just like this one. These savings are invested right back into the community in the form of home loans. In fact, savings and loans make more home loans than all other financial institutions combined. Last year alone, they helped house over 4 million people. Savings and loans. Who needs them? We, the people, do.
George, I could close the biggest sale of my career today, except for my, well, it's my breath. I need something strong.
You need the breath deodorant.
Breath deodorant?
Clorette's. Clorette's is strong. It deodorizes mouth odors. Clorette's with Actazole actually helps your mouth's own freshening power eliminate bad breath. Costs a little more.
But for a deodorant, it's worth it.
Clorette's, the breath deodorant.
You just made a sale, George.
Those are sheepdogs working. Instinct. You just can't breed it out of an animal. That's why dogs go for Alpo. Instinct tells them that meat is their natural food. And Alpo Beef Chunks dinner is meat byproducts and beef, minerals, and vitamins. Real hearty, protein-packed beef that every dog craves. It's all right here in Alpo. There's no better dog food in the world.
China today has a new leader. His name is Hua Ko-fang. Last April, he was named premier to succeed Zhou Enlai. Today, official announcement was made that Hua is the new Communist Party leader, succeeding Mao Zedong. And there were unofficial reports that Mao's widow, Jiang Qing, and other radical members of the Politburo are under arrest. Ken Kashiwahara tells us more about Hua, whose ascendancy may be of advantage to the United States.
The first indications that Hua Guofeng was to be the new chairman came in wall posters which went up in sections of Peking over the weekend. Then, when Hua met a Papua New Guinea delegation currently visiting Peking, speculation increased when he failed to ride in the same car with the New Guinea Prime Minister. Unconfirmed reports suggested that Hua had to hurry off to a meeting about the power struggle. But with today's announcement, Hua is now officially the most powerful man in China, which is saying something for someone who was a virtual unknown only 9 months ago. Not much is known about Mao Zedong's successor. But he is believed to be more moderate and practical in his political outlook than Mao was. And China experts believe a Hua administration will lead China to the right. Evidence of that has been the prominent appearance over the past few days of Li Xianyan, a leading member of the moderate faction who met recently with American Senators Mike Mansfield and John Glenn. Li, observers feel, has a good chance of becoming the new prime minister. With such a moderate outlook, China could now move away from the strict Maoist revolutionary ideology and toward more practical policies of economic advancement and increased trade with America and the West. Improved Sino-American relations is also a possibility. The moderate takeover was apparently dramatic. Radical leaders, including Mao's widow Jiang Jing, have been reported arrested in the greatest purge China has seen in years. Jiang's stature stemmed from her relationship with Mao, and when he died, apparently so did her power, and possibly with it the strong radical influence that has guided China since the Cultural Revolution. Ken Kashiwahara, ABC News, Hong Kong.
Hua is believed to be in his late 50s. Last year, he became vice premier and minister of public security, a position that gave him control of the police and militia.
In his comment tonight, Howard K. Smith examines Jimmy Carter's call for moral and open diplomacy and finds that lofty deal on the impractical side in today's world. Howard?
President Ford's lapse from reality in the foreign affairs debate being just about talked out for the time being, I would like to dwell a little on two more subtle Carter lapses in that debate. Mr. Carter came out for moral and for open diplomacy. Moral diplomacy presumably means pressure on immoral nations to become moral. Well, two recent cases suggest it is a dubious recourse. When Mr. Kissinger privately cajoled the Russians about it, they let 36,000 Jews leave Russia in 1 year. Then Congress passed a public law demanding such releases. Russia promptly pulled back, and not one-third that many has been released since. Likewise, when Turkey invaded Cyprus, it clearly called for a little private persuasion by Kissinger of a good ally ready to listen. But Congress publicly cut off arms for Turkey and wrecked any chance of a Turkish withdrawal. Forcing morality failed, as it mostly will, between nations. Openness is a worse delusion. Open negotiations turn diplomats into politicians who make grandiose statements for home consumption. Then when time comes for judicious compromise, they find they can't back down. The result is failure. Diplomacy is one thing that simply has to be done privately. In brief, Mr. Carter is apt to find, if elected, that he must proceed much as his predecessors have, privately and with a long-range view that morality consists in getting moral results, often by devious means. His success will depend on whether he can do it more skillfully. Harry?
Thank you, Howard. In case you missed it, the Cincinnati Reds beat the Philadelphia Phillies this afternoon 7-6 and will go on to the World Series. That's the news. For Barbara and me, good night.
Susan Warren, where are you going with that crystal Drano?
I'm unclogging my sink.
Suppose I tell you, you may never get another clog.
Come on, Hal.
You're using a tablespoon of Drano, right?
Sure, it works.
Just do that every week. Only costs 6 cents.
Every week? Won't it hurt my pipes?
Would Drano let you hurt your pipes?
Okay. Drano once a week and...
You may never get another clog.
I remember the first time I kissed her. You know something? After all these years, the excitement's still there.
It shouldn't matter that you wear dentures. Not if you use new formula Polident. We've added more cleansers to Polident, more oxygen whitener, and a unique penetrating ingredient, all to make this new formula the best cleaning Polident ever. So you can stay close, as always. New formula Polident. We want you to stay close.
This has been the ABC Evening News with Harry Reisner and Barbara Walters.
Newswatch 13, Tuesday, October 12, 1976. Tonight, death prompts concern about the flu vaccine. We'll have two local reports. Workers give a contract a thumbs down in Green Island. A driver is fired after a bus hassle at Linton High, and the jury can't decide in Boston.
Good evening, I'm Bill Reese.
And I'm John Quaintance. It looks like the strike at the Green Island Ford plant may last a lot longer. They aren't happy with the contract they worked out last week. But today's top story concerns the swine flu program. Bill, what happened?
Well, John, the swine flu vaccination program started in New York State today, but it also temporarily stopped in at least 4 other states. Claire Carter tells why it was stopped, while Ken Jarrell reports on what the start of the program may mean in time.
3 elderly persons in Pittsburgh received their swine flu shots yesterday within an hour of each other. Today, those 3 persons are dead. Federal and local medical detectives are now trying to determine why. Was it bad vaccine, or was it the stress caused by receiving the inoculations? All 3 had a history of heart trouble. The New York State Bureau of Disease Control and Education has obviously been deluged with calls from concerned citizens.
Now, I've called all of the 5 regional reps, our immunization people, and told them what I've just told you, and that is to recall that particular lot number into the health departments until further notification.
This afternoon, I talked with the director of the Bureau of Disease Control, Dr. Donald Lyman. Albany County in Pennsylvania has suspended their swine flu program temporarily because of the 3 Pittsburgh deaths. So is the state of Wisconsin. Will New York State follow suit?
We're not going to close our flu program. The events in Pittsburgh relate to 3 people who died during the day when they received their flu shots. We believe that among this population, the elderly and the high risk, this is the expected number of people to die in that day.
How can you tell elderly people who may be in a high risk to take this vaccine if there is a chance that because of the stress related to the vaccine they may die?
Well, we believe that the stress of having influenza itself is much greater than the stress of coming into a clinic to get a flu shot.
So the swine flu vaccine program in New York State will continue, even though the particular batch of vaccine used in Pennsylvania has been temporarily discontinued. Statistically, would those 3 Pennsylvania residents have died anyway? That's the question Dr. Lyman raised. It will remain for federal health officials to answer. This is Claire Carter reporting for Newswatch 13.
This is Kent Jarrell reporting from Troy. I'm at the Kennedy Towers, and most people here seem unconcerned about the reports of the 3 deaths in Pennsylvania.
They don't seem to be very concerned. Most of them are calm, and they're taking the shot very well.
Nobody seems to be scared.
No, not whatsoever.
None of the vaccine used in Rensselaer County is from the same batch used in Pittsburgh. The process of getting the shot is easy, quick, and painless. Most of the people inoculated today in the Capital District were over 65. A special vaccine has been prepared for this high-risk category. Younger people with diabetes, heart, lung, or kidney diseases also get this vaccine. The swine flu surfaced briefly last year in New Jersey, and the federal government is spending $135 million to immunize most of the population. One health worker says it's especially important that older people take advantage of the free inoculations.
Yearly run flu clinics for people that are over 65 because these people tend to develop pneumonias and get side effects from flu much more than the younger population. So this is the reason we're doing this group first.
For those of us under 65 and healthy, there probably won't be enough vaccine for us until sometime in mid-November. Kent Jarrell, Newswatch 13, Troy.
The Green Island Ford workers voted on their new contract today.
And in Schenectady, there is a major controversy involving school bus drivers. Details when Newswatch continues.
Ed, what does Kelly Close, Troy's famous factory store, mean?
A real factory location, famous for 45 years for quality merchandise.
How do people see factory stores?
Well, some different things to different people. Some it's price alone with imperfect merchandise.
That's not Kelly's.
Oh, not at all. No. We offer quality clothing at large selections and a saving due to our factory location.
So the only difference between a suit...
There's more than famous maker brands behind the Kelly label.
Hey, I know what this is. L-I-F-E. Life. That's the cereal
that Mikey likes. Mikey who? The little kid on television who doesn't like stuff that's good for him. Oh, yeah. He likes live cereal, though. Hey, you know what? I like live cereal as much as Mikey does. Do you think they might put me on TV? That's silly.
Kids like Mikey like live cereal.
A great economy car. A car with more room with the rear seat folded down than the trunk of a Cadillac Fleetwood. Where is it written that that kind of a car shouldn't be a ball to drive? The Rabbit, quicker from 0 to 60 than a Jaguar XJ6S.
You did it again, didn't you?
The Volkswagen Rabbit. You've got to drive it to believe it.
Voting has now ended on that new 3-year contract between the Ford Motor Company and the United Auto Workers nationwide. And although the national outcome of that ratification vote may not be known for some time, locally the tally was made public shortly after noon today. Locally, the response was a resounding no to Ford's contract proposal, as the 940 members of United Auto Workers Local 930 voted to remain on strike against the Green Island Ford facility. This morning's secret balloting, taken separately among skilled and production workers, resulted in the following tally. Skilled workers, 35 yes, 48 no. Production workers, 232 yes, 378 no. We spoke with local UAW President Joe Cozzolino just moments after he received word of the vote tallies.
After coming out of the meeting now. Why do you say that, Joe? Because I was in the meeting and I seen the attitude of my members.
What does this mean for the local, even if the national should vote to ratify the contract?
As it means to the local, we are out. We are continuing our strike locally at Ford Motor Company Green Island plant, locally on local issues. Whether this contract is ratified or not nationally, we are on strike locally at Ford Motor Company, Local 930, on local issues. At the present time, we are far apart.
Cozzolino would not elaborate on what the local issues are, other than to say they are general working conditions. However, a couple of strikers we spoke with said time off for production workers is a big issue. And so the picket lines at Ford's Green Island plant will remain up indefinitely as the already 4-week-old UAW strike drags on.
The judge in the Susan Sachs trial has sent the jury back to try again. The jury told Justice Walter McLaughlin this afternoon that they were hopelessly deadlocked. The judge, following guidelines set down by the American Bar Association, asked the jury to try once more for a verdict. Susan Sachs, an Albany native, is charged with murder and bank robbery. Her parents, who still reside in Albany, were in the Boston courtroom today. The waiting goes on, but observers say that some decision may come tomorrow.
A Schenectady CDTA bus driver was fired today for refusing to transport students to Linton High School this morning. Marie Rice has that story for Newswatch 13.
Bus drivers from the Capital District Transportation Authority say the students use obscene language and are insulting. Driver Hank Varioli said our primary concern, however, is safety. Some of the students throw things, pennies and small pieces of candy.
Something hit the front windshield and ricocheted off and hit me somewhere in the lower part of my body. And I didn't know what it was, and I thought, well, geez, this could get to be a very touchy situation with safety because of the fact that it could have hit me in the face.
The Bus Drivers Union, Amalgamated Transit Local 1283, held an executive board meeting last night. It was decided no students would be picked up this morning. Only one of 4 drivers followed that union decision, and that man was fired. Art Innes says he's worked for the company close to 6 years. Why were you the only one that followed those union orders? Why were you the only one that had enough courage?
Because I'm a union man. I've been a union man all my life, and I'm sorry. That's the way I'm going to go out. I commend a union man. One of the stipulations on this job is that you must join the union. That's a company stipulation.
The firing of Innes fueled the tempers of other union members. Late this morning, a wildcat strike was even contemplated. Linton High School principal Herb Deek says he's not defending the alleged actions of the students, but he said he wasn't informed about the problems.
I was very, very annoyed and quite mad at the fact that they chose this way to tell us we were having a problem. I think we could have resolved it in another way. Over the years, I thought and still think that we had built up a very cooperative spirit in working with the bus company.
Union President Doug Alloy said earlier in the day students would not be bused this afternoon.
Management does not run this union, and they'd better find this out real quick like.
So you're not going to be there this afternoon?
Definitely not.
Later, buses did arrive after it was agreed representatives of the union company and school would be present.
If it happens again, I agree with the drivers. They shouldn't bother driving the buses because they don't have to put up with it. Any questions?
The union says they want their man rehired. The company says as far as they're concerned, he's fired for insubordination. The company also says they weren't aware of any serious problems at Linton. School officials here say the students are in the middle of this whole thing, claiming the basic problems are with the Amalgamated Transit Union and CDTA. This is Marie Bryce reporting for Newswatch 13 at Linton High School in Schenectady.
Mrs. Mary Brandt of Niskayuna claimed a dubious kind of distinction today. The Republican Party has tapped her to run against incumbent Democratic Congressman Sam Stratton. Now, that nomination comes after Stratton himself had refused an invitation to run as both a Democrat and a Republican. Mrs. Brandt will also run on the conservative line. Democratic State Senator Fred Isabella has disclaimed any association with a rumor that said that his opponent, John Quimby, will quit the 44th Senate race. Those reports circulated over the weekend. Yesterday, Quimby called a news conference to say that he's in the race to stay. Quimby partisans allege that Isabella was responsible for that rumor. That Isabella tells Newswatch, quote, "I categorically deny that I or any member of my election committee started this rumor." Isabella was defeated by Quimby in a Democratic primary runoff last month. The Schenectady dentist remains in the race, running on the Liberal Party line.
Responding to a challenge by Schenectady County Manager Carl Sanford, the Tea Party today came up with a list of suggestions to save the county $1.7 million. The Tea Party is opposing a planned tax increase in the county. Full details of the suggestion will be presented to the full Board of Representatives tomorrow night at the board's regular meeting. An early morning fire left a Greenport family homeless today. The blaze broke out at the Werner house on Route 66 around 5:30 this morning. Officials blamed the fire on an oil-burning space heater. The 4 members of the Werner family all escaped. Mrs. Werner suffered some minor burns on her hands, but the fire did claim the lives of the 2 family pets, a dog and a cat, both of which died of smoke inhalation. That blaze was reported shortly before 6 o'clock by one of the Werner children who had to run to a nearby shop to use the telephone. 3 area fire companies responded to the call. They battled the flames for more than 3 hours, but the Werner home was a total loss.
4 young Rotterdam children are alive today because a 2.5-year-old fire alarm that barks. Ken Gerald has the story.
Around 2:30 this morning, Tom Meekus woke up suddenly.
Our little dog, Chihuahua Spotty, come into the bedroom, was barking, and woke me up when I heard it. My wife and I woke up at the same time. Oh, gee, it sounds like smoke. The bedroom was filled with smoke also.
Tom ran upstairs to find his 4 children. They were all asleep. The youngest child, Danny, aged 5, didn't wake up. A fireman had to help carry Danny down the stairs and out of the house. Once outside, Danny was fine. Today, Spotty was described as a hero.
Would you credit the dog, Spotty, with saving your kids' lives?
Definitely. No 2 ways about it. Good fire alarm.
In the rush of getting everybody out of the house, Spotty was left behind. But a fireman and Mr. Meekus went back in and got Spotty, and the rescue was complete. Kent Gerald, Newswatch 13, Rotterdam.
Ooh, hey party people, want to break the ice? Chilla-chella, chilla-chella, chilla-chella.
When the Olay goes out of your sangria,
Chilla-chella, chilla-lambrusco.
Let's give a big party. That's big money. Chella.
Chilla-chella, chilla-chella. For an inexpensive imported red wine, do Chilla-chella Lambrusco.
The place for steaks begins here at this old-fashioned roundup.
Nowhere in the entire Northeast will you find beef that's been cared for and tended to than the beef you'll find at the Place for Steaks. Your best steak ever is at the Place for Steaks. You can take my word for it. I'm Harry Downey. The Place for Steaks is located in the new Clifton Country Mall in Clifton Park.
The town of Wilton has taken its fight to stop a prison from coming to the courts. The state says that it will begin moving prisoners into the old state school November 1st. But the town officials say that they have filed papers, say that they're going to court and in state Supreme Court to halt that action. A decision is expected by Friday.
Police officials in Williamstown, Massachusetts have ended their formal search for a missing 17-year-old girl. Cynthia Kryzak has not been heard of since last Thursday when she left home, reportedly to visit a library. Police agencies around the Northeast do remain on alert for any information about the missing girl. The organized local search effort, however, has been abandoned. John, this morning my young son, because of your weather, started his day off with a giggle as his father slipped on the frost and fell on his, you know what.
You didn't. No, you didn't hurt yourself.
Because of that, I've got the padded stool tonight.
It is.
Oh, he loved that.
So if you do it tomorrow morning, I'll go and watch. It was a beautiful day. I think an artist's rendering of a perfect fall day. But can we do it again tomorrow? You'll find out in a moment. We had a high today of 60 degrees. The low was 28 degrees early this morning. The present temperature is 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 13 degrees Celsius. The winds are from the south at 10 miles per hour. The relative humidity, a nice, comfortable 43%. The barometer is falling from 30.18. We do not have a satellite tonight, poor transmission, but down here on Earth, this is how it looks. The only weather maker of any consequence is this cold front coming down from James Bay right into the Texas Panhandle. It's coming east, of course, and it'll be coming through New York State and the eastern part, our part of the state, by late tomorrow night. Very little moisture associated with it, so there'll just be variable cloudiness, just a slight chance of a sprinkle. So relax our fears. The sun will dominate. The hot spot today at 3 o'clock this afternoon was Thermal, California. They had 93 degrees. A cold spot, Caribou, Maine. Really not too bad, though. 48 degrees this afternoon. This high pressure off the coast, if you noticed, has kept things cold for us. The high pressure now over New Hampshire. And yesterday, temperatures down in the Central Plains, Northern Plains were in the 90s. But this high pressure continued to bring cold air down and it moderated things to a lower level in the Central Plains. The only warm spot, as I mentioned, was down in Southern California. For us, it's going to continue to be a pretty good story in New York State right now. Stars dominate our skies over Vermont and most of New England. And it will not be as cold as last night. As you can see, 61 degrees in Buffalo, 64 in Rochester, 60 in Syracuse, and down in New York City, it's a nice, there it is down there, 57 degrees. So tonight it means fair and not as cold as last night, the low 35 to 40. Partly sunny and warmer Wednesday, the high 60 to 65. Partly cloudy Wednesday night, the low near 40, variable cloudiness and cooler Thursday, the high 55 to 60. Chance of rain 20% tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night. The sun will rise tomorrow morning at 7:05 a.m. and set tomorrow night at 6:16 p.m. and the days are getting shorter.
What is the occasion of this? Your birthday, or are you about to be embalmed?
No, I double as a doorman out. I double as a doorman out in front of the station. No, really, I was at Syracuse this morning. I co-host with Neil Golub. We open Price Choppers across the state, and that's where I was this morning. And I just thought it added an aura of dignity to tonight's weather.
Thank you, John. All right. You might say we have concrete evidence as to the veracity of this next story. An Albany man had a bit of a scare early this afternoon when his car slid into a plot of freshly poured cement at Pearl and Lawn Street. Jim Kaufman of 1172 Broadway was the driver of that car. He was unhurt. Members of the construction crew pouring the concrete claimed that Kaufman drove past a barrier. Kaufman said he saw no barrier and couldn't stop in time when he saw that slippery concrete.
What a way to lose a car.
That's what he said.
That was a terrific ball game this afternoon.
It was. It was a super ball game. And, of course, the series is over now for the Phils. They go home and pack their bags up for another winter. Coming up, we also have athletic director from Siena College, Billy Kirsch, will be with us.
That and more next.
Marsh Holman Chevrolet, where more people buy and lease for less. 781 Central Avenue, corner of Everett Road, Albany.
Guess what? I wear maiden-form cause it's my passion. To wear things so pretty, they've got to be fashion. I tripped over the knockout in my maiden-form bra. Maiden-form, maiden-form, it's no dream. I'm lovely, you're terrific, I'm active, we're a team. I'm beautiful. Stretchy, smooth, nice and soft, simply fashion, your fashion. Maiden-form, maiden-form.
Scott Murray will tell you there are fans, and then there are fans. Well, our erstwhile North Country correspondent Mike Farnell has come up with a real baseball fan, or is it fanatic?
You get more than a haircut when you come into Johnny Samo's barbershop here in Glens Falls, because John is more than the average sports fan. He brings fanatic into fan. You see, the walls of his barbershop are papered with baseball and football cards. John has some very unusual ones. I bet you didn't know Dr. Steve Hardy of General Hospital, seen here on Channel 13, played for the St. Louis Browns. Yep, that's John Berardino. How about Joe Garagiola with hair, or Babe Ruth in 3 different uniforms? Remember 4 years ago when the San Diego Padres almost moved to Washington? Well, the Topps Company, which manufactures baseball cards, was ready. Here's Fred Kendall, both as a Padre and a Washington what's-their-name. John says he can tell when fake hats are put on pictures. Note the comparison with Clay Carroll. Though he's wearing a hat of both Cincinnati and the White Sox, the close look tells you it's a Cincinnati uniform in both pictures. John tells me when the walls are completed, he's going to start on the ceilings. Mike Farnell, Newswatch 13, Glens Falls.
Well, with me tonight is the athletic director and the head basketball coach at Siena College, Billy Kirsch. Billy, thank you for coming tonight. This Friday, of course, only a couple of days away, and the 1976 basketball season in college will get underway. That, of course, the word from the NCAA, they legally allow practices to begin at 12:01 this Friday.
That's exactly right.
What about the move to Division I?
It's nothing alarming to us. We've been playing Division I basketball 8, 9, 10 teams a year, and we've become accustomed to it over the last couple of years. It's a difficult move. We feel our players are ready for it. They're highly motivated. They're interested in playing a Division I schedule. And we've been gearing for this for the last 3 or 4 years. So it's a move up. We hope it's a successful move up.
Now, the question that I'm sure has been put to you a million times and then a million more times, of course, is Gary Howley, who is now with the Milwaukee Brewers. What about the situation with Gary? No doubt you're going to be missing him in the Siena lineup this year. Have you had any problems recruiting people now that you've gone to Division I play?
Again, in Gary's instance, Gary was a super athlete at Siena College. He was good for Siena College. Siena College was good for Gary. I think it was a mutual situation, and he chose baseball, and we wished him the best. He was an outstanding athlete, and we're going to miss him. There's no question about it, but I think we have some people who can take up the scoring slack. We might change our style of ball a little bit, maybe be a little more conservative. This will be seen in the first couple weeks of practice, but it's a play-it-by-a-day situation until we actually get involved with competition and find out who can do the job and who can't.
One final question, that of course the Siena Invitational, a brand new thing that's going to come to the Capital District the first week of January. Can you tell us a little about this?
Yes, Scott, we were very, very pleased in our initial jump into this type of thing to get the caliber team we did. We got Oklahoma City University, Northeastern University, and American University. And we feel these are very, very strong national level teams, and this is basically what the alumni tournament is for, to bring in teams of a national flavor that we can't generally schedule in our normal season schedule.
We'll have more on that coming up as the months go by. Billy, I appreciate
congratulations to you on your new position.
Thank you very much, and best of luck to Siena College.
Thank you.
Well, of course, I guess the big news would have to be the Reds and the Phillies. The Reds and Mr. Hustle, and of course Pete Rose, clinched it all this afternoon. They defeated the Phillies by a score of 7-6 in a barnstormer. Just a super game. You saw all the action right here on 13. Don't forget tonight, Hassler and Doc Ellis, the Yankees and the Royals in Yankee Stadium. Game time exclusively right here on 13 at 8 o'clock. Mr. Hustle, of course, Pete Rose, as we said, has denied 100% that he is discontent with the Cincinnati Reds. He said today that any gossip to the contrary is false. The NBA champ, Boston Celtics, have purchased star forward Sidney Wicks in a straight cash deal. Wicks was sold by the Portland Trail Blazers to the New Orleans Jazz during the summer of this past year, but the former UCLA star failed to report, thus making the deal null and void. Well, Pat Pepler, the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, had 3 of his coaches resign today. However, he did make one replacement. Johnny Roche has returned to the Falcons, replacing Bill Nelson as the backfield coach. Former Steeler quarterback Terry Henratty signed today with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bay coach John McKay, whose team has lacked some offensive punch during the season, hopes the acquisition of the former Notre Dame star will help help them put some points on the scoreboard. In the weekly college football standings, it looks like this: the Wolverines undeniably in first place. That, of course, Michigan. Pittsburgh has moved into the number 2 position, followed by Nebraska, UCLA, Oklahoma, Maryland, Missouri, USC, Ohio State, and Texas Tech. And tonight in the National Hockey League, Montreal is at Detroit to take on the Red Wings. The Flames take on the Islanders in New York, and the Rangers visit Minnesota to take on the North Stars. And that is it.
And even with baseball action today and that great game, I still say the lottery is the #1 sport in New York State.
I don't know. After that game,
I'll take 1,000.
That was a super game, though. Well, the lottery. New York has a new millionaire, as you're probably well aware of, and we're not talking about Barbara Walters. 19-year-old Robert Neto of Watertown, NY, won $1,000 weekly for the rest of his life in the New York State Lottery. We have a report on last night's first drawing under the new lottery.
100 people in a New York auditorium, all hoping to become millionaires. Each had already won $5,000 in the New York State Lottery. In the group, a 19-year-old high school dropout who pumps gas for a living. His wife is a cashier. And then Telly Savalas called their name. Robert Neto and his wife Judy aren't sure what they'll do with the money when they get back to Watertown.